American Harlem. It's one piece. There's still a Spanish Harlem and an Italian Harlem. The Italian Harlem is also, funny enough, where Antonio Esposito lives. So you guys are all close by each other. Oh, okay. How are John? Sorry, not John. How now that we have this going on? How perhaps are other intrepid investigators going to be involved? Get involved in this particular adventure, i.e., who is going to contact Rudolph Marsh, and how and why is Antonio going to be involved?
Well, I would be involved because of the explosion with the mafia, and since I'm scared as heck, I'm going to stay attached to those people who created the mess, because like otherwise I have no one else where to go.
This is true. You're in a sticky situation, which
Was it clear
the
enough? Like a
yeah.
bar related to people that protect me was exploded. I think it is related to me. I don't want to pop back. Like, I don't care, monsters or non-monsters. I think it's safer with them than with the mafia.
Sounds reasonable.
What such bad luck that's befallen poor Antonio. and so Antonio,
yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
I
was gonna
go.
No. This is why I hate not being able to see people, because you miss those like visual cues of who's going to talk. Antonio, go ahead.
I have nothing to say.
Okay, so I'm going to say that one of your things that you do is that you pester, because you know the one thing you do know is you know where Elizabeth lives, and so you probably can figure out a way to pester Elizabeth, get into a building, and ring her doorbell all the time, or call her, or try and get her to respond to you, because that's the one place that you did go to. You did go to, in the aftermath of things, Elizabeth's apartment in Washington Heights, and so that's something you know. And so then at some point in the morning, because you've called out sick, perhaps from your, there's only a couple, you probably are getting like sort of nervous, careful not to go to the mechanic shop. It may be that they started asking you some questions about things that happened, but there's no conclusive anything yet. So the boss probably told you to take a couple days off, and he'll call you when he needs you, which is troublesome because that means that your gainful employment is now on hiatus. You have a lot of free time, and that means there's a lot of free time to go pester Elizabeth. So she seems to have a lot of money, and she could probably buy you breakfast because you're hungry. And so at some point, Elizabeth, Antonio is going to come knocking at your door.
Okay.
How are we going to get Mr. Marsh involved?
Great question.
Does Mr. Marsh want to get involved, considering all the elaborate goings-ons that he's experienced in the last
that's the
couple
big
weeks?
question. I'm just gonna say that after everything that's happened, he's found himself with the perverse desire to maybe see a little more. So he's also going to show up to Elizabeth's house and demand more information about what he got himself into in the preceding days.
All right. Well, conveniently, you find Antonio there ringing the doorbell, in the entry foyer, to no response. Antonio, you notice someone you know. You notice, Rudolph Marsh come in.
Hey, Rudolph. You are also to bother our common friend, let's say. Rudolph?
SWAT team's probably kicking in his door.
Hello.
Don't leave outside. It's cold.
Uh, well, I'm going to say that what happens, Antonio, is that even though you guys are, I hope you can hear me, you guys are trying to get in, and you keep on ringing the doorbell, and it seems that Elizabeth is not responding. Uh, luckily someone comes out of her apartment building, an older couple, well-dressed older man, with a mustache, white mustache, and glasses, dressed in kind of an older, maybe generation before sort of suit, and an older woman, again also dressed in clothing that seems very out of date, although was probably fashionable once. The man carries a small cane.
Kai, is that the
And,
German couple? The woman bakes me strudel.
yes.
Alright.
Got it all figured out, haven't you?
I sure do.
And nice, good, very good. And you hear them speaking a language. You probably think it's maybe German or Swiss. I mean, you've heard these things before via the radio and certain things. And they kind of look at you, both of you. And man tips his hat to Marsh, and the elderly woman sort of looks at you, not really ignoring, kind of ignoring you, and they walk out. Gingerly, they're older, and definitely the woman, the smell that you get from the woman is that of some sort of strong floral perfume and baked goods. And the man has the smell of an old cigar. And so the inner door from the foyer is slowly closing behind them.
Can we enter? Is that illegal? Like, technically we're invited, right? Wink, wink.
You can do what you want.
You guys, I'll be right back. My dinner just got here.
Have you guys ever been to an apartment building before?
Yeah,
And had to ring to get into the staircase?
Oh yeah, sure.
I think that's what he's trying to imply, that the door was locked when the
Oh,
couple
okay.
came through, and now it's closing behind
Well,
them.
then with the
Yes.
we
Yes, you have to. Yeah, like in the buildings in New York City, a lot of them, they don't have guards like we do, the kind of fencing and the electric things. Often, there's just a door on the street. You walk in, there's this little space. There's a second door that's locked, and that people have keys for who are part of the building. Otherwise, you go over. There's a panel of buttons that you have to ring, and people will ring you.
Okay, I figured it out.
Yeah, just Yuri, I think, knows probably less than might be less familiar with it. So that's the entry for it. Anyway, So you catch that inner door, right? And you guys are able to sort of go in. Yeah, and so that means that you're gonna, Elizabeth has been ignoring your rings, but now you can go upstairs and knock on her door.
Yeah, she cannot ignore our presence now.
I put a little piece of cotton between the bell and the ringer, so it doesn't hit the bell,
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so you guys go upstairs. And it's a walk up, so you're gonna have to walk up the stairs a couple of
It's
five.
fine. I'm young. I'm strong.
Yeah. So it's 5-6 stories, and then you get to Elizabeth's door, and you touch the doorbell. She's got a little round doorbell with a black button. It's made out of copper. And it's brass, coppery, and you press the little black button on it, and nothing happens. Seems that the doorbell's broken.
Gosh damn it. I start worrying out. Maybe something happened. I start knocking. Elizabeth, are you in there?
Elizabeth.
I tried to smell for like gas or something like maybe there was a leak.
You smell coffee and cigarettes. Well, just a minute.
Oh. I'm disappointed. I wish you could open up before. Instead of wasting more time out.
I finish her cigarette. She mashes it out. She finishes her coffee. She gets up and she goes and answers the door.
And here we go.
Wow, two gentlemen callers.
Nice to see you again, Elizabeth. Regarding that small thing that you did, I think that I know that you did.
What thing are you talking about, young man?
I don't know. There was a recent explosion in the place where we were.
Oh my God, that is horrible.
Exactly. However, I kinda knew those people, so
Well, you did?
worried.
Well, because they were kind of mean to you, from what I remember.
I know, but now I need temporary place where to stay. You know, to like not die or stuff like that. You know.
I understand.
Yeah, I'm kind of.
You're afraid, is what you're saying.
Yes.
So you think that you might get implicated in the accidental explosion up in Syracuse. Well, Antonio, the worst thing you could do would be to run and hide.
But
because that just brings suspicion upon you, and that suspicion is just confirmed then. These men are already very suspicious people.
But you know, what should I do otherwise? Because like, if I go there and I was like, oh, I was just there like a couple of nights before the explosion.
Well, Antonio, what do you know about the explosion?
That it was like right after we went, and like I don't want them to start asking me questions.
Well, I mean, what do you know about the explosion?
That it exploded.
Well,
Yes.
I mean, you know just as much as that newspaper says over there, honey.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I wouldn't worry about too much stuff that you have no idea or nothing to do with.
Would it still be a problem if I like start like working for you so that like at least I have an alibi to
Alibi?
like, you know, alibi.
Yeah, that's fine. I can be your alibi.
Yeah, I don't want them to like be too suspicious. You know, too many coincidences are weird and like, yeah, you know.
Sure, I'm thinking about purchasing a car anyway, so I can definitely use you to help me decide on which vehicle.
So yeah, until like things calm down, I really appreciate like if I could work with you.
Yeah, that's fine, honey. Miss Marsh.
Lizzie.
How you doing today? What can I help you with?
I found myself curious as to whether or not you come across anything else interesting as of late.
Well, yes. Last night was quite interesting. Why don't you gentlemen come in? I'll make another pot of coffee.
Oh, yeah, yes, I'll come in. Coffee. I like coffee.
Lovely.
Do I have a phone, or is there a phone in the building, Guy?
I mean, last time we talked about, like, we said there was a phone downstairs, but do you want to buy a phone?
Yeah, I would like to have a phone in her house, you know?
You're relatively, you're pretty wealthy, and you've gotten with a bit more money now, especially with the trust fund. So it's, time passed between the trust fund and there's other things happening in a couple of weeks. Obviously, so we spent a month, right, convalescing in reality. So during that time, we kind of decided to buy a phone.
Finagled the
put in a 30%.
I would have finagled the lawyers to get the money for them to buy me the phone. You know.
That's awesome. So you are now one of the 35% of Americans who own a phone.
Wait until Boopy finds out about that.
So I could call. I could actually call number one and get a response.
Yes. While you guys are talking, then if you do have a phone, interesting enough, then I'm going to say that you are going to get a phone call.
Okay.
The phone rings, and the operator says hello. And says, hello, got a call here from a Professor Sappington at Classical Studies at Columbia. Are you all accept?
Yes.
Okay. And so the operator, she hears some clicking, and then the Professor Sappington, talks. Oh, hello, Miss Cummings. Oh, so good to hear your voice. My goodness, are you all right?
Yeah, we missed you at the club last night.
Well, my goodness, much things happened at the club last night. I must apologize deeply for being tardy. I was caught up with a graduate student who wanted to discuss his dissertation, and I lost track of the time. Well, my goodness, these late night discussions, they go on and on and on. I tried to get to the club, but by the time I got there, well, gosh willikers, what a mess that was. Oh, I've never seen anything like it. Police everywhere. It was a crashed police car. It was madness. I heard that there had been violence and people were shot. I was certainly worried that you were not been involved. I would not feel terrible if by my own mistake and my invite you had got yourself involved in such an unfortunate criminal incident. I'm happy to hear your voice.
Well, Professor, I almost got killed. As a matter of fact, brain matter entered my hair.
Oh,
that's how close I was to the incident.
Oh, goodness. Oh, then you were near that poor man who was shot. Oh, my dear.
Your apology is very weak.
Well,
I demand recompense.
Well, Miss Cummings, of course, I did promise you that I would look at the object that you had discovered, and I will be available at any time for you. I will cancel what I need. If I need to cancel a course, I shall. I feel I have. It is my honor and my duty now to deal with this. I was hoping to just have a nice conversation and show you some of the wilder and more interesting parts of town. It's something I've come to fall in love with. Really, this music culture in Harlem. It's really quite different. Certainly not the soothing sounds of the Greek pentatonic scale.
I think I've had quite enough excitement for one day, Professor. Just business.
Well, yes, of course. I can meet you at your convenience at a location of your wishing. But certainly, I would be interested in knowing and hearing what you saw. The stories all over the newspapers, and I fear that that particular club may be closed for a while. That kind of violence, and the poor man who shot and then trampled and then hit by a car. I find it quite unbelievable. But yes, of course, and my apologies for witnessing such horrors. It is certainly not appropriate for a woman of your stature and to be distressed so. Please, you may call me at my office. I'll leave a telegram, or if you wish to set up a time and place for us to meet today, I am at your total availability.
Professor, 4 o'clock, the fountain in Central Park.
Yes, Miss Cummings, I will be there.
Good day. And she hangs up.
Ooh, a professor. Professor in what?
A professor in get people killedology.
Okay.
I gotta call the gang. So I start trying to get in contact with Bruce and Boopy.
Did you get me a phone as well?
And Nevada.
No, Boopy.
Would you have contact information for me? I probably gave it to you once when I was throwing you.
I remember you boasting about being a professor, so I think I could track it down from there.
Yeah.
She sends up the bat signal.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to
The coming signal.
I was going to say, of course, this is the old days where you still have things like phone books. And, phone books are novelty, but phone books certainly come out. And someone like Nevada Jones, you are probably, in the phone book as a associate professor, City University of New York.
Okay, yeah. So I try to get in contact with everybody and tell everybody to get on my house for lunch. And then I tell the two boys to enjoy the coffee. There might be cake in the icebox from the German woman upstairs, and she goes into the bedroom and gets changed.
Okay. Well, you guys can feed yourself and drink some well-made coffee. There's probably and Bruce, whatever, I presume you would have been at work.
I'm suspended.
Oh yes, you've been suspended. Yes, that's right. We discussed you were probably suspended without pay for a while. I mean, that's not necessarily, probably, that doesn't mean like it's forever. They'll probably get you back, and it'll be troublesome. But there's probably a phone down, that either the landlord has, or it's a common phone in a building. Yeah, somebody might get you eventually, knock on your door and say there's a call for you. And Nevada Jones, you're probably nursing a hangover, partially asleep at your desk at the university when you get a phone call from this associate of yours, Elizabeth Cummings, and you get an invite to go over to her house. And so time will pass, and eventually you'll use New York public transportation or a taxi, whether it's the trolleys or the subways, to get to Washington Heights and to the 6th floor walk-up where Elizabeth Cummings lives.
Okay, I would like to bring some flowers for her. But not fancy, just like table flowers.
Yeah, you're probably going to be able to find some bouquets being sold at a newsstand.
Something cheap, please.
Yeah, that's easy to do. I mean, you're not going to get like roses and things like that. That kind of flower buying is I don't think it's that easy. But lilies and things like that are probably pretty available. Different things like this. So
Nevada is going to go and look for the shittiest flower he can find and pick that in an attempt to romance Elizabeth. He doesn't look for the shittiest one on purpose, but he's just bad.
So you pick a rather uninteresting bouquet of petunias, and bring that to her. Not quite romantic, so yeah. And you eventually get you guys all eventually get to the building, ring the doorbell. Except I got to double check. Elizabeth, is the doorbell downstairs also broken, or is it only the one in the top?
Well, I imagine that she's probably got cotton in both doorbells, right? So she's not stirred by anybody. And So before we get everybody together, I give Antonio a $10 bill and I tell him if he could go down to the German deli and get some food for everyone.
Sure thing. I go down and I go do what I was asked.
Yeah. All right.
I give him a key so he can just come back in.
All right. Very good. So yes, you go to a couple blocks, not too far away, but a block away. You see a vibrant, very clean, nice community. It's actually better organized up here. It's quite nice, compared to maybe the area where you live. It's much cleaner. It looks like it's much more higher. Clearly, Elizabeth living is a higher socioeconomic class. There is a very clean and nice looking deli that's got a variety of smoked meats, and which you're not all that familiar with. Some sausages. There are various cakes and a variety of foods that are unknown to you. There's a lot of German speakers all around. They're speaking German when they speak to you. They have the older person at the counter has a thick German accent, and there's probably a younger worker whose accent is not as thick and tries to help you and get you a variety of baked goods, if that's what you're looking for, along with some, bacon and some yummy Bavarian sausage, things like this. And $10 goes a long way, eggs, so forth and so on. So that is what's going to happen. How are the rest of the people going to be able to get into your building, Miss Cummings?
Okay, so periodically I'm just gonna open up the door and listen. Listen down the hallway, and if I hear somebody down the stairs, I'll go down.
Yeah, I mean, you guys get frustrated because you're ringing a doorbell and nobody's doing anything. Maybe that's the same thing for Bruce and Nevada Jones. Eventually, maybe you go out, you look upstairs, you look through the windows, you knock on the door downstairs, the glass shakes. Right, and then I'm sure over time, while you're there, Elizabeth will come down and get you. At that point, you're probably impatient, smoking a cigarette, if that's what you do. And it doesn't seem like she's, in a hurry. She saunters down and sees you and acts surprised. Right? Is that how you do it, Elizabeth?
Yeah. I mean, after checking a couple times, if I hear something, I would ask Antonio to go down and check.
Okay. So, of course, you wouldn't do it yourself, right? Antonio would have to go down and do it. Yeah. So, Antonio, when you come back with the food, Antonio, that's your job.
Yeah. I'm the new butler.
Yeah. I always get the feeling like Elizabeth waits just a little bit. She she hears it a little bit, and she's like, okay, now you can go, Antonio. And yeah, so you guys all gather in this very prim and proper and neat, living room and kitchen of Miss Cummings. Go ahead, guys. Do what you're going to do. Talk about what you're going to talk about.
Hey, Cummings. Thank you for the invitation. Look, I'm sorry for what I said to you when we were in that situation back the ranch house. I mean, I don't really hate you. Nothing personal, okay? We were all in a difficult moment, and I appreciate you calling me out to hang out. After my suspension, I have been quite lacking of things to do. I appreciate the attention. I brought you these flowers.
Wow, Bruce. Thank you very much. I'm sorry for almost killing you when we were up there.
It's okay.
I thought you were someone else.
I understand. It was tough for everybody. Excuse me.
And that was the second craziest thing that happened to me in my life. The third craziest thing that happened to me in my life.
When Nevada sees the detective handing over the flowers and sees that they're much more beautiful than the ones he's got, he just mutters under his breath, "Fuck." And keeps quiet.
Am I there as well, Kai? Have I been and got my guns? And
Yes, I'm going to say that you've all arrived at some point. It's probably you were probably the second to arrive. Nevada Jones lives close. It would have been easy for him to get there. You would have arrived second because you're down in the Lower East Side, and then coming in from the Bronx would have been the hardest part.
here you go, Cummings. I bought you a newspaper. Thanks for last night.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
I slumped down in a chair.
So, who wants to tell me a
Where's the
little more about what
scotch, by the
happened
way?
last night?
So,
Well-
who wants to fill Rudy in on what happened last night? Well, I guess.
Well, Cummings left me with a knackered taxi driver that I had to drop off at the hospital and do a runner. That was, of course, after we had brains spilled all over us. It was just your average Friday night. What day is it?
I would have said that it would have been could have been as early as a Thursday, but it was probably a Friday or a Saturday night, really, when all this happened.
So, yeah.
Okay. Okay. What newspaper will you have bought? Right, just a normal newspaper.
Well, I imagine that as I went past the newsstand, I saw the report of the incident in the nightclub and bought it because of that.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. So for certain, you're going to get some information, right? And the morning daily that you picked up here, and I'm going to say, I think it's a New York Tribune.
Cause there's no music playing.
Oh, there's no music.
No. Did you update the VTT? I don't hear it.
I hear music.
I can.
Maybe
Music too.
I gotta read.
Yeah, I am pretty sure I updated it a while ago. The VTT. So the so you probably picked up. That's how you picked up the New York Herald. And the New York Herald reads that all about Minusco's shooting. It basically says how the poor man was mortally wounded, yet somehow indomitably willing himself to stay alive, tried to reach help, only to be cut down, ironically, by the very aid he sought, being run over and bodily, grievously harmed by the police car that crashed him against a telephone pole. What a sad luck and strange things happen to the best of men at the worst of times. The information basically says that Peter Minusco was identified as a self-employed accountant, a man with a spotless record, with a moment of weakness, entered the criminal den of the Sugar Cane Club, a well-known, a nefarious hangout for Negro criminals. It clearly what happened was that the poor man must have been accidentally misidentified as some sort of member of the burgeoning criminal underworld that is associated with this plague of bootlegging and illegal alcohol drink clubs. Sugar cane. I fix something here. Oh, hello, man. Come on. And so the doors for this den of iniquity have been shuttered. And this cesspool of vice and crime is going to be cleaned. You notice that there is a picture of a government agent, a man named Roger Daniels, who's interviewed and confirms that this particular den of iniquity and this you know, immoral area of New York City was selling alcohol illegally. And so, witnesses were horrified at the bloodshed, but further investigation into this murder will be completed by the New York police, who will surely solve the case. And then you have a name of a detective. Grimmins, who is on the case, also there. And the manager of the club has been arrested.
Did you read the article, Goofy?
Well, I had a quick scan through it. I wondered whether Whitworth might know this Crimmins chap.
Would I? Okay.
Roll me an intelligence.
Okay. I wouldn't. I surely wouldn't know. Yeah.
The name doesn't really sound familiar. You don't work Harlem, so you could make a couple of phone calls. Obviously, you are a police officer. You could probably find them if you wanted to, but you don't know. You don't remember the man.
Sorry, Boothby. Never heard the name.
I was actually looking to see if there was anything about the shooting of a taxi, but fortunately, that one seems.
Well, I mean, in the article, it does describe that witnesses said that there were, blood-covered assailants that were seen coming out of the
trying to pin this shit on us.
blood-covered
As long as there's no
assailant.
pictures of me, I'm good, I'm not a very noticeable man, of course. I look like trash in the bar, and I look like a respectable gentleman during my normal days.
I'm just going to put one ridiculous thing here. This is
By the way, Kai, could I assume that I read this paper because I was working at the university this morning?
I mean, you might have read one or two papers. You might have picked them up if it's your daily habit to buy newspapers, which of course is what used to happen until only a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe you like reading newspaper. Maybe you get 2 or 3: the Sun, the Boston Herald. Maybe you pick up the New York Times. New York Times proper. That's definitely up to you. And so then, right, it would have been actually the New York Tribune, the Evening News, the New York Herald, and the Sun. It might be that the New York Times didn't exist in 1921-22. So that's a really good question. I don't actually know that, but let's say you've got various newspapers. Again, it's the Sun and a New York Tribune. And yes, another description of this. It sounds familiar, already heard. Yes, in addition to that, witnesses described. Okay, bloody assailants, bloody armed assailants, escaping. Fighting with the criminal muscle, as it would have been written. in front of this illegal bar. There was gunfire from a Tommy gun before the police arrived. Witnesses, have multiple witnesses have given statements to this, and the police are following up on these witness descriptions of the two Caucasian, of two white males that were certainly members of the criminal underground. And so forth and so on. Things like that.
You see Cummings' assailants.
Just an average old Friday, Mr. Booby.
It certainly seems to be getting that way. Where do you keep the scotch again?
I went and I got it for you.
Why, thank you very much. I'm feeling better about last night already.
So, if there's anything you guys want to do or talk about, otherwise...
I informed the group about the meeting with the professor I scheduled at Central Park today at 4 o'clock.
We'll be needing backup. I didn't bring my gun, but I can go home really quick and meet you there. Just keep an eye if you want.
I don't think the guns will be necessary. He just wants to talk. So he's going to have a meeting we should have had last night today at 4 o'clock.
Last time he had a meeting. Went quite bloody.
Yeah, well, let's hope it doesn't come to that. Nobody's trying to kill him, so...
Look at these little beauties I just picked up Whitworth. And I pull out the two guns I just bought from the hardware store.
Whoa, don't point to me.
But I imagine they're quite small because they fit in my jacket pocket. So I don't know. I don't know much about guns. But I know what I like.
Okay, did you have a chance to practice with them?
Not between the hardware store and here, no. Got anything I could shoot at, Cummings?
No, not inside the house. Not inside the house. For God's sake, move. Okay, I think we're gonna have to teach you a little bit of gun etiquette to start with. First of all, you do go out showing them, okay? It's quite unsettling sometimes. Second, before you try to use it, you should try to practice with them a little bit. Try to get a touch of the bounce, the feeling. Try to aim things, so you don't shoot other things beyond your target.
All I know is that the dangerous bit is this end.
Yeah. It's gonna be a long way. Well, let's just keep to yourself for now on. Just until you feel comfortable really comfortable with them. Sounds good?
Yes, I'll keep them safe here in my tweed jacket.
Good.
So, gentlemen, which car should I have the lawyer buy us?
Oh, now you're talking, Cummings.
I'm not a car man, so...
Well, Antonio? But you two, Booby and Bruce, you two are okay with using the funds to purchase a vehicle.
Of course, but it needs to be big enough for all of us. We might need to get a jalopy.
And we must be sure it's not going to explode in the next few
We'll
weeks.
just get one of those bigger vehicles, you know?
I'm not really familiar, but yeah, why not?
Back in the 20s, didn't they have a vehicle where like there was a driver, a passenger, and then the back seat was kind of like a carriage where there was a sofa seat sitting one way and a sofa sitting the other way. You know what I mean?
Oh, like
They're
the
looking at each other.
You're not talking about the Beverly Hillbillies.
That's a good question. I do want to remind you guys, you actually did get a car, as part of the deal. It's not a very fantastic car,
Yeah,
but you did get a car.
We're going to sell that and then get something better.
Yeah, okay, no problem. Look, I have early American cars. I'm finding some cars here for you. I'm going to put a 1921 to 1924. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah, so you've got yourself a choice of various vehicles that might be available for you. It's a big list there, actually.
Yeah.
It's quite a lot. Along with the typical Ford Model T and stuff like that. Like some are more expensive than others. The 1924 Great Touring. That's a total Lovecraft car. I already call it the Cthulhu car. As is that coat steamer looks pretty big. Maybe you guys want to just buy yourself a hearse, save yourself the trouble in the future.
Ouch. I believe in us.
So yeah, it's a conversation you guys can have about what car you're going to buy.
Yeah, obviously it's got to be a big one. You can see that Star Depot wagon, 1922. That looks like it might have. It looks like it has enough space. It's got 3 rows of seats.
Oh yeah, I can see that big one. It's got the big wooden frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a weird taxi cab or a bus. Yeah, that could be it.
Or I could go behind in the 1921 automatic electric. It looks like a smart car.
Probably the although it's electric, I doubt the range would have been very long, considering the battery technology back then. But anyway, all right, yeah. So I mean, you guys can call the lawyers and start thinking about what you buy. You buy your cars. Is there anything in particular you guys wanted to do before 4 o'clock? Besides this, anybody else? So you're looking at that. You're talking about cars. Nevada Jones, Bruce. Bruce. Anything you guys want to do? Follow up. Make some phone. You've got a phone. Like, and by the way, Whitworth, you see, like, you may not remember the last time you were here, but you don't remember Elizabeth having a phone, and she's bought herself a goddamn phone.
Okay, I see. But I'm not going to bring it up. If she doesn't bring it up, I'm not touching the subject.
Okay.
Should I be teaching a class this afternoon instead of being here?
I mean, maybe you're an adjunct professor. Maybe you could, you can cancel the class. It just depends what you want to do, man.
Do you think they had TAs in this age?
I mean, yeah, things have always worked like this. There's always.
Yeah. In that case, I probably
There have always been lackeys and henchmen.
Yeah, that's. No, that's not unusual.
Do you want to RP teaching your class? Is that what you're getting?
No. I was going to say I'm going to call the university and let them know that somebody has to cover my class, as I am out for study reasons.
Did y'all notice the part of the article that said that the dead man whose brains was all over everybody last night walked around? Anybody find that a little odd?
Incredibly so.
To be honest, like, getting a bit used to it.
I don't think it's something I've ever heard of, no. Of course, there's
Uh,
always been old stories, but never heard about this.
okay, let's see. Who was there? Who was not there? I think Bruce was there, and Kravka was there, and this comes up. So, so who's got who's got a cult?
I do.
Oh, I do.
A cult or a
Yes.
coat?
No,
A coat.
a cult.
Oh, a cult. Sorry, my bad.
A cult.
Oh, a cult.
I have 5 in that.
I have
We
50.
best use it.
Yeah, whoever has more than like a normal, you know, level of cult.
So close yet so far.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Can't find.
Actually, Kai, wait,
Oh,
what
10,
time is
I've
it?
got 10.
I think
It's
take
like-
your time.
It's you guys are getting ready for lunch. It's like maybe 11, getting to noontime. Where the food's been arranged. Or you guys are kind of eating kind of sandwiches with some delicious heavy German rye bread, a variety of different dill pickles, garlic and dill pickles. You probably have pastrami. Oh my god, I'm getting hungry. Elizabeth, you've seen enough clearly that if this is not the first time you've seen or heard of the undead walking, sadly, you all already experienced this, and it comes to mind that such thing. The last time you saw this was the result of some sort of djinn, some sort of a demon out of fairy tale books. It should not be. There
Kai,
is magic. If this actually happened, there is magic involved.
I gotta
with
go
that
to the bathroom.
Yes, Nevada.
I would like to go into the library and research if there's like anything written about this in like ancient text or something that I've studied, or not that I studied, but that I have to my that I can study in the library at the university.
Okay, yeah. So you're going to go back to the university.
Yeah, and then require me to use library use, and I fail horribly.
Wow.
Um,
Horrible.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, you read a book, and it is.
It should say failure. It should say
Um, I have to find something here. Hold up. There's a particular important book here, and so yes. So one of the things, of course, that you do find is looking about magic. This is not your necessarily your discipline, but you do find what has become a famous book by Margaret Murray. You see. And this famous book is called The Witch Cult in Western Europe, 1921. And of course,
Read
it
that.
suggests. No. Well, like in real life, yes. Yes, I know. It is indeed a real book. And of course, that there is a conspiracy of witches and that have multiple powers. Of course, dealing with the devil. And these witch cults is an ancient religion that has survived in modernity, amongst other things.
All right. So it's interesting information, but it's not useful to what I'm trying to actually find.
To get that piece, of course, you will find a obscure journal,
It's kind of
19th
lagging for you guys
century,
too.
that discusses the cannibalistic rituals of African tribes, and
What kind of tribes,
subjects
sir?
uh,
What kind of tribes? Did it say cannibalistic African tribes, or I think he was describing a place?
we have
Cannibalism.
Western Africa.
Western Africa. Okay.
It's a I should say, late 18th century, amongst other things that you find as part of the bibliography in the the witch cult in Western Europe. And then you find yourself, diving down into a variety of, one would say you might consider them. Actually, give me an intelligence roll, Nevada Jones.
It might be a bit hard for me. I'm not very intelligent, but we'll see.
The dumb
Actually,
professor.
I'm pretty intelligent.
Hello, students. I'm here to explain to you
I'm an intelligent man.
This stuff here. Okay. So you dive deeper, and you find yourself in sort of a little catty corner of weird accounts of European explorers in Western Africa. Clearly, this is time dealing with the slave trade, and there's a whiff of sort of scurrilous pseudo academia in these things in this corner you found yourself, and you think you this is probably the wrong way to go.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So after all, I'm just gonna sigh frustratedly, and I'm gonna return to the gang and tell them that my endeavors were not very useful.
Yes, 100 versus 40. As a matter of fact, actually, with your library, the thing is that you think that although this is your library feels so bad that you think that at least the witch cult book might be useful for you. You're sort of convinced.
Okay.
I.e., you thought you found something useful, but you haven't. That is the lie of a utter critical fail. I should have said that you were trapped. You were trapped in a ladies' homemaking magazine section for 5 hours and couldn't get yourself out.
Yeah, that's what you should have done. All right. In that case, I'm gonna go back to the group and tell them about the interesting witch stories I found, and that I think maybe they have some. Maybe have had some hand in this.
It's possible that you consider that this maybe this was actually a ritualistic killing, as opposed to just a execution. So, is there a connection between the criminal underworld and a witch cult in America?
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Indiana.
Hey, I'm just saying it's something to consider. I'm not saying it's true, but I'm saying it's something to consider. Come on.
Which
Think
cult
about
is
it.
it?
This man stood up and walked around apparently after his brain was blown out. They were blown out in your lab. Now, I know that's not the first thing you've blown that was in your lab, but think about it. Just think about it.
I'm gonna have to support the doctor. I was in the place at the same moment, and when I heard about people screaming downstairs, for some reason I thought the same thing. That you just can prove that probably we're dealing with another supernatural thing.
There's no way how he could be walking around without anything magical or something happening, right? Like, it had to have been witch cult.
Why not? There are many things we don't understand. I mean, probably just a detective and probably don't have a lot of things to say, but my profession has seen a lot of weird things that just magic or God can explain.
I've seen enough zombie raccoons to believe anything.
Yeah, me too. I'm willing to give it a chance at least.
Wait, did you just tell him that? Did you guys just say you've seen zombies?
Both you did.
I did.
Okay, I just want to make it perfectly
Nevada is gonna.
clear that he said that he's seen zombies. Just want to let you know.
Nevada is just gonna like stare at him with wide eyes. Zombies? What are you talking about?
Have a drink, Nevada.
And Nevada's just looking at you guys in confusion.
Don't
What?
worry, I'm a cop. You can drink.
Wait, I'm
Elizabeth, do you have some of the...
special here.
Well, yes, I have scotch. Would you like a glass of scotch?
Yes, please, and do tell me this story.
Would you like one of these reefers that I bought yesterday?
Oh, they're divine.
This is a problem. Okay.
I will take one of those, Mr. Blueberry.
There you go. Cummings, I think
Kai's wife who's locked out.
But I tell you, my friend's calling me.
Ooh, almost.
My boy. Actually, who's calling me, Anthony? It's Martin Benedict.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Oh, dude, hold on.
You guys want to take a 5-minute break so I can call?
I want to hear about these zombies.
Oh, yeah, you guys can talk to each other. Let me do one thing. Does anybody use... Who uses Groovy?
I know how to use.
I use Rhythm mostly.
Okay, I've because I just like I it's been hard for me to download the kind of music I wanted for jazz in the background here. So how do you play a YouTube? Can you play a YouTube playlist via Groovy?
You could do it via VTT.
Can I?
Let's not make it too hard for his mental.
Let me just...
Because it never seems to work.
Find a YouTube thing you want, like
I got it.
a playlist you want to play, and send it to me.
Ah, okay, yeah, I will. I got it. Is it R20ES add track?
It is, yeah. And then you add the track with the link, but you have to convert the link with the VLC beforehand.
Oh. Oh,
So
so let me say
So just give me the link that you're using, and I'll create the playable link for you. And what you have to do is punch my link into the...
Okay, then you got to teach me how to do that later. Okay,
I'll teach you how to do that later.
I've been very unsuccessful trying to get that the ES player to work. All right, yeah, sorry guys about that. I know I'm a little delayed, but just give me a second here. Let me just talk to my boy here real fast. All right, guys, chat and think about what you're going to do, and there might be some other information come along the way.
So zombies. What are zombies? I've heard about them, but they're not real, are they?
Well, let's just say when you get attacked by an animal that should be dead, that's not quite right.
Well, you could say by your sanity.
That doesn't happen, right?
Well, it shouldn't happen by rights, but there's many strange things in this universe that are difficult to explain.
So you're saying it has happened?
Well, would anyone like to dig me out of this hole?
Nope.
So Elizabeth's gonna, do her feminine thing. She's gonna switch legs that she's crossed, and then she's gonna sip her coffee daintily and say, yes, the dead sometimes come back to life. Creatures and beings have this ability to do so, but they use some form of dark magic.
So you see the witch cults, I was telling you about them. And then Nevada takes a massive swig of his whiskey. Just about, like, not downing it all, but nearly downing it.
Is there anything in that book about...
That's the thing. Let me get you a refill then, Nevada.
Please. I would like to tell you if there is anything in that book, but I'm not going to read a book that's 255 or 286 pages for my Call of Cthulhu character. Especially about witch cults. I want to sleep when I go to bed.
In Western Europe. I forgot about this part. There's the Eastern part too. I ignored it.
Guess where I live? Western Europe. So they're going to be knocking at my door if I say their name out loud.
Wait, did you say that that's a tomb or is that Nevada?
Oh, that was his tune.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. But you're saying that these animals, they use some form of dark magic to come back.
They might not use it, but something might.
So, like, Nevada gets out his pencil and notepad and just starts scribbling down what you guys are telling him about these things. To make, like, research markers for later on, when he has time.
And suddenly everybody stops talking.
I come back with two more scotches and give one to Nevada and sit down with mine.
I sip my coffee.
Would you like a drink?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. Hand me the drink.
Yeah, she can hand you a drink. Does everybody have a drink?
I have my coffee.
I have a drink.
Yeah.
I have a drink, yeah. I need one. Oof.
Well, Rudy, you were there for the whole zombie incident, and you're a writer. Why don't you describe it to, Mr. Nevada?
Are we talking about the, like, zombie animals at the...
At the ranch, yeah.
Ranch, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
They were animate corpses, for lack of a better term.
I would explain it more, Nevada, but unfortunately I was slightly
We were
mind for some of it.
attempting to protect our lives at the time. And yes, some of us did have some odd reactions. Can't exactly blame anyone for that, but yes, they were animate corpses of various woodland creatures.
Woodland creatures, like fairy tale.
And they did seem to be animated through, well, what I do not know what to call besides magic.
That reminds me, Bruce, how are you feeling?
I'm getting by. Yeah. I've got to suspend it from work because I lost some files. So I have a lot of time to think, to try to digest things. It's been going. I mean, some
Nevada.
days.
Nevada, Bruce almost had a shot through the heart, and Cummings was to blame. She gives investigating a bad name.
But don't worry, Cummings.
Nevada's just kind of sitting there, like, looking at his notes and thinking how he's gonna, like, try and figure out what the fuck.
Holy crap, that is
all
one
this
goddamn URL. Jesus Christ.
What did you say, Kai?
That's one fucking gigantic URL for this fucking thing that Anthony was in. Alright, create? Oh yeah. So that's video playback. Alright, so I'm going to stop this on. Let's see if it works out. Play, baby.
73 minutes.
I'm going to see if it's going to play or not.
It's playing.
Is it?
Yeah,
I can't hear it now.
minutes.
I can hear it.
Everybody's refresh your page. And
Yeah, maybe I'll refresh mine also.
Probably need to update my VTT as
What
well.
do we have to refresh?
Yeah,
Roll 20 or
I'm playing it with the roll 20.
Yeah, I still don't hear anything. I need to update my VTT probably.
yeah, if you don't have the VTT function, you probably won't be able to hear it either, Kai. They won't be able to hear it unless they have the VTT function.
Oh,
I have
man.
it's updated, I think. That update was 20 September.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
the latest version.
Yeah. They're 1531, I think,
Oh, okay.
is the latest version.
Yeah, that's the one I have. 1531. Hello?
Yeah.
Kai, you're muted. Kai, you're muted.
Yeah. You guys, is anybody hearing us now?
Yep, I'm hearing.
I still not hear.
Ready? Go in the media tab in the upper left-hand corner. Okay, is it open?
Got it. Open file, open multi-file. I got all that.
Okay, so click the media tab. You'll see open network stream. Click that button.
The upper.
And then the tab, there should be tabs, 4 tabs. The one called network should be highlighted, right?
Yep.
Enter the URL of what you want to stream.
Okay.
Click play.
All right.
It should start playing in VLC, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, pause
It
it.
is. Yeah.
Okay, go to your tools in the toolbar, in the upper left-hand toolbar. Go to codec information. There's a URL location. Click and copy that entire URL to the URL in the game.
I see it. Okay, yeah, I see this. Okay, Control A here. Yeah, Control C. Cool. All right, and then that goes into. That's what I'll use now. In the R20ES ad track, right? Select the URL. I'm going to call this jazz list 1. And the status is okay, and I'm going to create. Okay. And let's see if this bad boy is going to play. Yeah, now it's playing. I hear it. Everybody heard it?
I'm trying to read this.
I can hear it. Yeah,
John, Antonio, are you guys able to hear it?
Yep.
I'm trying to hear it.
Yes, yes.
I cannot
cool.
hear it, but it looks like it's loading or something.
Excellent. Okay. I know it's just a little bit for ambiance, but I know I was playing the same songs all the time, and I didn't want to do that to you.
Kai, stop it and then play it again.
I've stopped it.
For me,
Wait,
it
again?
says stuck at jazz list 1, 0.22.
Yeah, it's at 0.25 for me. I don't know why. I just refreshed my
And I can't hear anything.
It's fine. If everybody else can hear it, I don't know.
Yep, can hear it.
Okay.
Some
So,
jazz music in the background.
was it? Okay, so actually, I'm going to say that Nevada, while you were reading some newspapers, you one of the other things that you found was that there was an article about a new Egyptian some new Egyptian findings that have been unearthed recently. So there were some interesting things. You actually think you might know the professor who was involved. You might have had some contact with him, so that there may be some new Egyptian artwork that might be delivered to the Museum of Natural History very soon this year from a newest excavation in Egypt. Among these other things, you you see that there is mention of an unusual, some unusual ancient Egyptian treasures from a previously unknown or unfamiliar pharaoh, goes by the name of Nyarlathotep.
Okay.
Just put that in the background there. All right. So that was another thing that you noticed in your newspaper. So, gentlemen, if nothing else happens, I'm going to fast forward till your meeting with the professor at 4 o'clock in Central Park.
I do have one question, Kai. Do I need to make any checks for receiving the information about zombies and stuff?
Yeah, we sat him down and had a discussion about the zombies and told him everything that happened in the farmhouse.
Hell yeah. Did you show him the sarcophagus? You guys show him the sarcophagus and stuff?
Not that.
I didn't show him the sarcophagus, but we talked about how familiar we are with zombies, and everybody, talked about their encounter with the zombies, and Rudolph.
Shock.
Okay. I will definitely need you to run a sanity check.
A sanity check, okay. I hope I'm good at those.
Oh,
I'm not good at those.
Oh.
You haven't been good at anything tonight.
I mean,
Was like this last time too. Maybe this character's just bad at everything.
is anyone really surprised?
Not me.
Fuck you. All of your bunch of bastards.
Okay. So yeah. So here's what happens. Yeah. So I'm going to say that. Let's see the sanity loss chart. Oh no, that's like the complex thing about what it is. So, in this case, I'm going to say that just you haven't seen it, but
Mm-hmm.
the difference between here seeing it or not. So I'm going to say that you are going to get a 1d4 plus 1 sanity loss. Okay. So that leaves you with a 2-point sanity loss. You can feel the hairs at the back of your neck, the goosebumps crawl all over your skin. I mean, certainly you've been around the world, and your expertise in the South American, Mesoamerican lore, knows that the Aztecs and many of them had serious conversations about death worship, and that that the idea of life after death was a conversation. Of course, you always assume this was all just mythology, right? This is just as always the simple mythological tale, that simplistic science that has been converted into oral traditional stories and religion to explain aspects about the world, and of course just religion. You have a very secular point of view about it, I'm sure. And the fact that these people that you've met, who seem perfectly rational to you, are saying that they've seen these things, you can either think two things. So you're scared because either what they're saying is true, which is frightening, or they're all part of some sort of insane. Maybe they're part of a witch cult, and maybe there's something you're missing here. Perhaps they're members of a insane witch cult. That could be, right? So you're starting to get nervous and paranoid, because either thing to believe is utterly frightening.
Yeah, that's true.
As you feel the world shift under your feet momentarily, and the deadpan way in which all of them shake their head and say it's true. Okay, gentlemen. And Ms. Cummings. And so what we're going to do is that we are going to move on to our 4 o'clock appointment in Central Park. You will, I believe it's a hot day, and Central Park at 4 o'clock is a pleasant place to be under the trees.
I'm still staring
Was there a
ahead.
particular place in Central Park?
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the fucking famous ass fountain that's in Central Park, but that's where I want to go.
Okay. I think there's more than one, but okay. So
Well,
I
Central
want to say
Park,
that
no, at this point actually still a lot of like colonies of, or not really colonies, but like a lot of tent camps of people living there.
The Hooverville you're talking about? I don't think that happened until the 30s.
yes, we're not in the Great Depression. That's a good point to say, but we're not in the Great Depression yet, right?
Yeah, Hoover hasn't
That's when you're going
yet.
to get. Yeah, exactly. So I think Woodrow Wilson is actually still president. So that's not an issue at the moment. But yes, there's a large variety of places, and you name a place that is well known.
Have you guys ever been to Central Park before? So,
question.
you ever been to like I know that there's a place in there that's got bronze statues of Alice in Wonderland.
Yes,
I wonder if that was around at the time.
That's the Sophie Loeb Fountain, as it's currently called, and we're looking look that up right now. That's a great yes. Actually, it wasn't always like that. Apparently, the one that's got Alice in Wonderland, originally a drinking fountain, the sculpture stood outside the Hexer playground, and then they moved it, so it wasn't always there.
Okay.
But I mean, it could be the thing. I mean, I think it was there somewhere. It just wasn't always where you're thinking it is.
Okay.
Yeah. But you can just meet there. It was near a playground. It doesn't matter. It's totally cool. So that's the place that sits in your head, and so that's the place where you guys are going to go. And can I see this right? Actually, that place was dedicated in 1959. So you'll get to a fountain. Anyway, the man will be there. The professor, it is Professor. I actually forget his name for a moment. Give me a second. It is Professor Sappington. And he is a prim and proper man. He certainly doesn't look like the type of guy who might necessarily be going to a club. He sits around sort of fanning himself with a straw hat and a hot summer sun near an elm tree, underneath the wide, expansive branches of an elm tree. On a park bench, he seems to be feeding some pigeons with some bread. You see him; he's a slight man in a dark suit, glasses. Seems a completely unassuming gentleman, but you've met him before. He seems distracted and inattentive as you approach. You startle him as you get near, and the pigeon flock flies away and flutters into the hot summer air. It's of course a bit stifling here. It's now a hot. It's the mid-morning, and it's gotten to a hot and a muggy afternoon. As you know, New York City is infamous for its rather sweltering summer weather. And, all of you are probably dressed quite fine and certainly feeling the sweat starting to pour down your forehead and slicken your underarms. He gets up and he effusively forgives himself. He introduces first to all of you, and some who he knows. And he effusively, apologizes to all of you for the incident. Once he doesn't know who was there, but he's quite contrite and rather meek, really, now in terms of his responses. And he's like, "Oh well, I didn't know there would be so many of you. Do we want to sit on this bench, or should we perhaps go on the lawn? You've told me you have a magnificent artifact for me to look at from your descriptions that you have written and the sketches that you made. It looks extraordinary."
Yes.
It would be good to take a seat.
Can I roll a luck to see if I remember to tell Antonio to take it?
Yeah, sure. Give it to me.
I guess. I mean,
This is like, oh shit. Yes.
and when you curse, he actually becomes startled. He's like, "Oh, that's unladylike." I mean, he doesn't say it, but you can see he's slightly taken aback by your foul language.
I'm sorry, Professor. It's sometimes the old farm girl just comes out of me.
Oh, well, my goodness. What shall we do now? Certainly, did want to take a look at the material. I want to do some research and try and understand it. You said there were some strange scriptures on the inside. I know you mentioned a rather you know, a British explorer that I wouldn't hold much confidence in, but sometimes these types of people have interesting ideas that often fall under the you know, are missed by some of the more closed-minded academics.
Sure. Why don't we walk back to my apartment and I will show you a piece.
Well,
It's only a
certainly
couple
a lovely
blocks
day
away.
for this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's only a couple blocks. I'm just trying to ease him.
Sure. He's like, you can see he's sweating, and he's like, he kind of loosens his collar, and he's like, well, yes, of course, okay. Well, sure. Miss Cummings, we've had a good epistolatory relationship. It's rare that we've met. I'm glad we finally come to a more significant meeting, and I'm sure that your acquaintances here are interesting. I see that you obviously, I know you already know Dr. Jones here. He's quite a story to tell. Certainly, the southern continent and is not known well to me. But yes, let's take a walk. And, well, at least I can count you. You can tell me what you saw and at that place, and I can at least. I'm quite curious. I read the newspaper this morning about the account, but certainly you said that you were there. And my goodness, that you were even. I can't imagine the horror covered in blood. I don't wish to pry, but I certainly find such things interesting. It is history in the making. These things get lost in time.
Can I roll a spot hidden to see if we're being watched or followed or?
Oh, why, sure you can. But of course.
Oh.
It's like you don't notice anything. As a quick aside, you're in an empty grass field. Right? At least 50 hectares. There's a 10,000 person army 100 meters behind you. Boothby looks around. He says, "We're in the clear."
Ready! Aim! What's that noise?
The name is Gruffo, Professor Boothby Gruffo. Very pleased to meet you.
But anyway, no, Boothby, you don't notice anything unusual. I mean, certainly there's some people walking around here in this corner of Central Park, by Washington Heights, right? It's the upper, it would be the Upper West Side region. You are going to see some fine people dressed in parasol, with women with parasols dressed in elegant clothing, and men in top hats. You might see some people driving around the park on a horse and carriage.
Yeah, can we take a handsome cab back to the...
I believe that's a viable thing. I think so. You probably pay them enough; they'll happily take you over there. I think that still works in 1920. So yeah, you guys can take a handsome cab if you drag one. You flag one down. As there's probably a couple of them along one of the by the pathways along the road, waiting for customers. And you drive off of on the handsome cab out of the park, and you end up going up. My goodness. He says it's a little bit out of his way, but he gives you a price that he'd be willing to go for, and off you go. I'm sure you're going to afford it. And so, eventually you guys, will get yourself up to that sort of corner of Washington Heights, and to be honest with you, where I think you live it's oh no, yeah, did I say Manhattanville or Washington Heights? I feel Washington Heights is where you would be.
Yeah,
I don't remember if I
Washington Heights.
said.
We said Washington Heights.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a ride from the northeast corner of Central Park, but along the way you go, past the streets of Harlem, and eventually you will get home.
Well, yeah, I mean, there
All
are
right.
paths that cross between the park, you know.
Yeah, no. It's not hard to do. You'd be driving up like at this point it's more. You probably go up Morningside Drive. It's probably would take you, and then up Amsterdam Avenue to get you up there. So it's fine. I mean, it's not impossible. And this is the 1920s. This is not the Manhattan that we know.
Yeah, I mean,
So
we
no
wouldn't be
problem.
we wouldn't be the only horse and carriage out there.
Yeah.
Either, so, yeah.
Not at all. I'm just saying it's a bit of a ride, and he's happy to do it. Yeah. So eventually, while this, it takes at least a half hour, I'd say, for you guys to ride along. The horses don't really go too fast. The wind picking up feels good. The breeze against you helps to cool you down in a reasonable way. And he starts talking about the sort of fantastical beginnings of legend and mythology that he witnessed last night, because getting there late in the crazy aftermath of things, he discusses how as he asked around about what had happened, that the locals probably mixing a lot of their syncretic religions. And you must know that some of these Negroes of African origin, they bring a lot of their spiritual beliefs along with them. I'm certainly no expert on these things, but they remind me of perhaps even some of the ancient ideas that you might find in the prehistoric days of Greece and even Rome on the Italian peninsula. Certainly they have strange ideas about gods and all sorts of unchristian beliefs. But fascinating as they are, certainly it must have influenced what they thought they saw. They claim that the man, he got up from the table. That's what I heard. That there was a man who'd been shot. Yes, as if I read it. My God, you should have seen it. You were close enough to feel the blood and the warmth. Well, I feel like this is some sort of a sordid tale that might have been found in the Iliad. Perhaps a chapter left out. He's kind of awkward, and he makes a lot of completely, weird academic jokes. Sometimes he speaks in Greek, and he doesn't. He's not self-conscious of the fact that you don't follow what he says, and he does this various times. So the man is a bit strange. Oh, you know what? I'm going to change something. Obviously, but actually, considering what you saw, the man was not sitting on a bench that was under a tree. Even in the hot sun, he actually chose a bench that was away from the shade of the tree. Although there were big, expansive elm trees all around, he sort of sat in a bench that was like, at the very edge, right, where the overlapping branches didn't quite cast shade. Mm-hmm. So that's a funny thing that you noticed for whatever reason. And when you saw him, he was actually had a bit of a nervous tick to him. He was nervous when he saw you looking around a lot. So anyway, so he relays the fact that he spoke to a lot of people, and he thinks this is obviously some sort of misinterpretation of the facts that has been filtered through non-Christian beliefs that have traveled over from the African continent. I wouldn't. He's obviously a bit dismissive. He wouldn't call it voodoo or anything, or any kind of has no understanding of actual African religions or anything like that. It's a very superficial 1920s understanding. And he says again, he relays the fact that some witnesses that he asked and he felt he really wanted to ask were that the man supposedly was shot. Walked up the stairs, was trampled on by the crowds, got back up, and ran into the middle of traffic where the police car hit him. These certainly it must have been the heightened influence of some of this alcohol that they were drinking. And he like winks. I'm not a teetotaler, but I don't drink much. Like to keep my wits about me when they're needed. And I know that these Negroes they have some sort of funny cigarettes that they smoke, and I think these things will influence the mind with the heat of the jazz. And people see in three things all the time, and this is where legends and myths come from. Yes, wouldn't you agree? Such things can't be true. Men walking from the dead, right? Or it's not possible. The monsters in the Iliad and the Odysseus, they don't exist. These are the feverish
Professor.
imaginations of people who are under the influence. And certainly trees don't come alive and attack you in the forest. And he sort of composes himself momentarily.
Calm down, Professor. I will say the only thing that I saw was this man's brains being blown out into Elizabeth's lap.
Well,
I do not know if he stood up after that.
Well, I can't imagine it's possible, but if there have been reported cases of a bullet grazes the skull, and it's possible that survival with some sort of limited brain capacity.
That man was dead. I've seen lots of dead things in my life, and that man was dead.
Well, of course he was dead. I'm sure what people saw was simply just someone covered in blood who had been near him like you and running about. The things in the newspaper. I'm sure it's exaggerated by the journalist. Of course, these types of things don't exist at all. One can't believe everything the newspaper says. One certainly can't believe everything other people say. It's strange occurrences. But there's even and I say this because I did ask. It's that academic curiosity in me as a professor. Oh Lord, it is really hot today. I must say it's a bit more of a scorcher than I expected. But as I understand, I must ask questions. I mean, how could you not be curious? This will be an urban legend, right? As they say, perhaps one day this will, like I said, be written in a book. Certainly of the myths of Harlem and the dead man who walked during the Dead Man Stomp. That's what they told me the name of the song was, Dead Man Stomp. Sometimes, these things are poetic. Well, then I would say that, yes.
You seem to know an awful lot about this already. Where did you get this information from?
Well, you see, I when I arrived, the crowd was already running about, and the police had come, and so everyone was outside, all these customers and so forth, and I just asked around. Sometimes the people can be tight-lipped. Certainly, I don't. But if you ask respectfully, they'll answer questions. And all of them, many of them, were nervous enough to just as they write in them to spill their guts. That's a phrase I think I read somewhere. And then he repeats it in Greek and in Roman. I'm sorry, in ancient Greek and in ancient Latin, and he laughs at himself. And he looks at you. It's like this in Latin, but in Middle Latin it's like this. The conjugation. Anyway.
Are you making notes, Nevada?
I am definitely making notes about this man, and he does not. I do speak Latin, by the way, but
Oh, okay. Then he does try and make a joke about. It's not a very good joke about the slight difference between saying that in Roman Latin, and then
Yeah, my language skills for Latin is a 40. Like, what would you say? Like my.
You understand the joke. You get the joke. I mean, it's not a very good joke. But the point is, he's like, It's unfortunate that place will close. I really like that the musicians there. That George's band, and George Malone was his name, and that's the leader of the band.
What
Guy,
was the name of the trumpet player again? Does
Oh,
anybody remember the trumpet player's name?
someone
Leroy
wrote
not right now.
intelligence.
No, wait. I wrote this down. I know this kid. I've met him
Le-
before.
Leroy something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so-
yeah. It wasn't Leroy Jenkins. It was.
He's-
It was something close.
It was
to
Leroy Turner.
Leroy Turner.
Triplets. That's the house band name, and then you remember that the name of the. Oh my gosh, and
Leroy Turner.
I said it really stupidly.
You said it, Leroy Jenkins, but
Yeah.
That's kind of up and coming was Leroy Turner. And it's like, well, yeah, well, I'm sad to hear. I really liked that George Malone's band, and well, I heard that Leroy Turner was playing there that night. Oh well, he's I haven't seen him many times, but he has how do they say it? He's got soul. Oh well, I hope we're here. Oh well, thanks God. Do you have cold water in your home? I'm really feeling quite thirsty. I'd like to have some before I take a look at your pieces here.
Yes, I do have water.
But
Guy,
you guys hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Yeah, a bit bad, but yeah.
Kai? He's gone.
I think he's lagging.
Gentlemen?
Kai?
Yeah. What was the last?
uh,
What was the last that you heard from me?
he asked for water.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Then you didn't
Okay.
miss much.
Yeah, she gives you water.
Guy, can I try to make a psychology check to see what's wrong with this guy? If he's just uncomfortable being around too many people, or there's something else? His eye behavior, if he's looking to some place repeatedly.
Yeah. I mean, you can. Of course, you can.
Psychology or spot-hidden? Okay.
Yes.
It's psychology or spot hidden?
Well, wait. If you want to analyze his personality and his behavior and discern if there's something particular about it, like an insight check, that's going to be psychology. If you just want to look over him and see if he's got something strange on him, that would be a spy. If that's what you're looking to do.
Behavior, and I fail.
He seems just an awkward person. He just seems socially awkward. You can't quite put your finger on it. He just seems like a kind of strange professor type. I mean, they're all like this, aren't they? Absent-minded, obsessed with their work. They're not. I mean, although you are a smart guy, you are a man of action. This is a man of dusty books.
Dusty books.
And stuffy library shelves. Not like you. You know how to put your knowledge into the world. This man lives in a fantasy land. Has he ever seen a dead person? Never. Has he ever faced down a gun? Never. Has ever had to sully his fingers or his fist in a fight? Never. That's what you get from him. You're almost irritated. irritated because this almost reminds you of you, right? It's someone you could have been, but you didn't come out this way.
Mm-hmm. Okay, get it.
If anything, I think I'm impugning. I'm assuming a type of reaction you might have, but you can accept it or not. But your psychology, this is your failed psychology roll, is what gives you this kind of weird attitude. Okay, gentlemen. So for certain, I'm going to say that that Rudolph. I'm sorry if you haven't been able to say much. But
It's okay.
Rudolph, you're familiar with him. You know him. You've had interactions with him. I think what's happened is this, whatever. Because if I remember am I correct about this in your background? Or am I getting this wrong again? Miskatonic University. Is it possible you would have contact with him? You think?
Yeah, I mean, wasn't he an acquaintance of mine, and that's how I got everyone in touch with him?
I think so. Yeah, I just want to confirm that you're okay with that, and that's kind of part of the storyline. So I think it's kind of one of those things where you've been in contact with him for perhaps your occult studies, right? And looking at the mythology of the ancient world and finding connections between things, and of course, the witch cult in Europe and these other aspects that you are personally familiar with, like your deep knowledge of the occult and all that has driven you to him. He's a classicist, and he speaks multiple languages, obviously, and has extensive historical knowledge about these things. So, again, it's probably been quite an epistolatory relationship, just a lot of letter writing back and forth with each other. Probably unlikely you ever actually met with each other. It was a very academic relationship. So, this might be one of the few times you've actually met him in person that was outside the university. So, okay. Do you guys want to ask him anything or do anything? What are you going to do?
Professor Sappington, have you ever seen those Indian fakirs that charm snakes?
And he's like, well, I have not. They're not popular. My studies have been in roots of the ancient world in Greece and in the Italian peninsula. But I've heard of such things, of course. Why would you ask?
Oh, it's just when I was listening to that jazz, that Leroy Turner, I found him very mesmerizing, and it reminded me of those snake charmers.
Oh well, yes, of course. I mean, one can't discount the fact that the unique rhythms of these Negroes is brought deep from as I understand, their perhaps even religious ritual practices, and something to be said about this sort of jungle beats that take over you. One can imagine that these beats are mesmerizing and strange. Certainly, with the addition of alcohol, one must feel some sort of perhaps revelatory experience, like the Sufi mystics. Yes. Although there's not as much spitting.
Would you like anything?
I'm sorry. You guys broke. Whoever's just speaking broke down for me at the last minute there.
I was just going to ask the professor if he wanted anything stronger than water.
He looks around and he's like, well, I'm not going to say I didn't say I did say I'm not a teetotaler. It's a bit early in the day, but Oh, but what the hell? What you gotta let loose and let your hair down sometimes. Yes.
So I go and help ourselves to some more of Elizabeth's scotch.
Okay. Yeah. No problem. And you pour it, and he's like, "Well, that's much appreciated. I feel certainly." And he turns to you, Elizabeth. You're much too kind. I really feel obliged. And I know this is hard to come by, and well, I really don't agree with all this silliness about temperance and all. I mean, this women's movement really is what brought it all about. No offense, of course, Miss Cummings, but you seem to be a woman of the world and open-minded. A certain set of women who really should be back in the kitchen and taking care of the children and not politicking about. Oh, my God, the fact that they've given some of these women the vote, well, it's...
Okay, sir. That's quite enough. Let me bring you into the other room and show you the piece.
And
I leave you before I leave your stove on.
Yeah, it's not everyone's equally enlightened in the 1920s, right? And so, and so he comes and he marvels over the piece, and he starts looking at it and he starts sketching it. And he's like, well, it's fascinating. I've seen some samples of something like this language in some very ancient Greek texts. Not of Greek, of course, but you wouldn't believe, but actually in texts that refer to Atlantis, not Plato's Atlantis, no, but older than this, you see. Wow, this is fascinating, right? Yes, and he starts talking to himself, and actually starts talking to himself in Greek and in Latin. He almost starts hyper focusing on the situation.
How much of this can I make out, Kai? What are you saying?
It's if I was gonna, I mean, nothing against it, but if you were gonna describe him, he must be on sort of perhaps an autism spectrum, right? He's super focused and he starts talking to himself, and he starts talking to you in ancient Greek without even realizing it. I don't even think he's aware of it, and he starts sketching and drawing, and it's like he's in a revelry for 5-10 minutes. You catch some pieces of his Latin, but he's like mumbling to himself. It's really weird.
How much you offering, Professor?
I'm sorry. What did you say?
How much you offering for this fair, rare piece?
Well, and he sort of you say it a couple of times before he responds, and he's like, "Oh, Miss Cummings, I'm sorry, I was trying to."
I'm sorry. This is not a museum, honey.
Well, you see, I was trying to think through some of the more rare Greek or oral lays and their translations into Latin. These are things that are not part of the Homeric literature. Normally, they're older. They're they're pre-Hellenic in some ways. But it doesn't matter. But this piece is extraordinary. Yes, I would almost would have thought that, of course, that this would have come about during the Alexandrian age. But by the age of this, it definitely predates the Alexandrian incursion into Egypt. And he starts rambling for another 2-3 minutes. And he's well.
I snap my fingers during the rambling. Focus.
Well, yes. Well, this piece is extraordinary. I will speak. It's utterly unique, and I will. I can't quite say, but I am sure that if I convince my department, we'll be willing to pay quite a pretty price for this thing. It is certainly a link. I don't know what it is yet, but I believe Columbia University will be happy to acquire this at a good price. I don't know where did you get such a thing, if I may ask.
No, you may not. And she puts it away. Okay, so you know exactly where it is, and if your museum is looking, or if your university is looking to purchase this, Adam, you throw Miss Cummings a number, and we can discuss it.
Well, Miss Cummings, I will assuredly be contacting you almost immediately. I will talk to the head of my department, and I've already taken some sketches here, and find out more about this. But I'm sure that its uniqueness will be well appreciated. And I will, of course, not like this sort of foolish explorer, but I'm sure that this piece here can tell us something about these ancient Atlantean myths. Yes, I mean, of course, these ancient Atlantean myths are just that, right? They don't exist. Certainly, ancient civilizations and monstrous creatures from the past don't really exist at all. Those things are just figments of the imagination. You see, just things that happen when you're feeling ill.
Do I feel like he's talking the truth or just panic rambling right now?
I don't know. You know what you have to do?
I guess I have to roll psychology. Or
bingo, bango, bongo.
Oh, I have really bad. Oh, that's it. Fuck you. I mean, I am a master in this. Yeah.
Oh wow! Well, for once you did something useful. Besides killing yourself. No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah. He's obviously extremely nervous, and he starts rambling, and you see his eyes glaze over, and you can see the goosebumps on his arm. Right? They just kind of like pop, and you can see like when he's even though it's hot in here, right? Everyone's a bit sweating a little bit, but you can see he starts sort of perspiring more as he starts sort of rambling to himself. And what happens is he stops. It's almost like he's not talking to you. He stares out into the distance as he's saying this.
I'm gonna bump Elizabeth like a bit on the elbow and say, "Something's wrong with him. The professor isn't usually like this. Looks like he's gone kind of mad. He's hiding something, or he's afraid of something."
He's hiding something, or he's afraid of something.
And he continues to stare at Elizabeth till she answers. Actually.
He's hiding something, or he's afraid of something. What's he hiding?
I don't know, but it can't be good. Kai, can I have a look at what he wrote down?
I mean, if you look over his shoulder, he's drawn in his sarcophagus really quite nicely, right? I mean, he's actually you're pretty impressed with the sketching in his journal, right? And the crazy thing is that he writes in ancient Greek, or at least you think it's Greek, and you don't know how old it is, but he's writing in Greek and Latin. The Latin, but it's like Greek, and then there's a little bit of Latin dispersion, and it's Greek. Like it's like a super. You don't understand how he could possibly decipher that. He could read that, but it's almost. It seems like that's his natural sort of mode. And he's like, he looks at you, and he's like, well, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I sort of lost myself in things. When one deals in mythology and legends, one gets seeped in these things, and one reads as much of them, and of course, one can't believe we are living in a scientific age, of course, an age of reason, not an age of free scientific reason, as the Greeks and the Romans did. One believes in gods and monsters and Medusas and these things.
Oh, yeah, that's all nonsense and poppycock, right?
Of course. But, that's how you find things.
Hercules and Achilles.
Yes, of course. These are remnants of what would have been sensational stories, as would be found in the newspapers today. But in a different type of culture, they've become amplified. There was no Hercules, just a big, strong man, of course, who became famous. Things like this. No such things as monsters, not really. There's no such thing as people raised from the dead and things crawling in the deep dark, the underworld, and deep in caves, in the forests, reaching with their limbs, grabbing you.
Why?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Why do you keep repeating yourself, Professor? Sounds like you're not trying to convince us, but yourself.
Yeah, that's the second time you brought up trees and monsters from trees. Nobody's talked about that. The article last night had nothing to do with trees eating people. What's that about?
Hey, and why weren't you sitting under a tree when we came into the park? You're constantly complaining it's hot. What's going on here?
No. He smiles like, don't be ridiculous. Poor Colt's collar. He's like, wow, it's nothing. It's nothing really. It's nothing. Don't concern yourself. Well, getting confused here about these type of things. Imaginations are running wild from these crazy stories.
I'm gonna say, who moved my potted plant? Who moved my fern tree? I'm gonna say. It's right behind you, Professor.
And he smiles, slightly grimaces, and he turns around and he's like, he looks over. He's like, oh, what a lovely plant. Yes. Small plants are good. Yes, indeed. Small plants and little pots and don't go nowhere unless you move them.
I'll bring him another whiskey.
Well, I think perhaps I should be going. My graduate student is probably lost, and Lord knows what he's done with my students. He's a bright boy, but he still doesn't get a cold capture. Doesn't understand things.
Hey, Professor, do you know any club that the triplets might be playing in?
Oh goodness, no. That was the only place that I knew they played. I'm sorry. It was just something about that drummer and that beat, like you said, that jungle beat. It's mesmerizing. You were right, my man. It's a mesmerizing jungle beat. It's just something that lets you want to be free, lets you forget. Just get in contact with that animal spirit in you. There's much we have to learn from other parts of the world. Yes. So much not like the rational Greeks. Now there is this love of the irrational that these people are involved in. It's miraculous. Yes.
Elizabeth is managing to freak me the fuck out.
Well, I really should be going now, and I will contact you all as soon as possible. And of course, about this, and it's quite remarkable you have your own phone, Miss Cummings. My hat's off to you for your success in life. We should all be so successful. Yes. Well then, let us back to the fray, as they say. Yes. And then he says a couple of things in Greek that no one understands, and he kind of laughs to himself.
I show him to the door, and then I slam it behind him.
Hi, since I know this guy, is this normal behavior for him? Does he always act like this when he's like having a breakthrough or something?
Look, yeah, he's weird. I'll you
Most
know,
so
yeah, he's a bit weird, but the kind of like he was a little weirder today than normal. But the man's behavior is is socially odd even at the best times.
Yeah.
You know him to be single, unmarried, and
Married
obsessed
to
with
the
his
job.
work.
Yeah.
Yes, obsessed with his work. Anyway, I'm going to be right back. You guys can converse amongst yourselves. Just give me a minute to go to the bathroom real quick, and then we will continue.
Okay.
Sure.
So,
Sir, what did you say?
what do we think about this guy?
He's
He's
weird.
definitely not acting as he normally is. Even though he's already weird, he was acting weirder.
Yeah,
I think we should track down this band.
maybe.
So, Rudolph, do you teach something?
No, I did get my master's degree and met the professor through those channels, but I'm not a professor myself.
Would you like to be a professor?
No, I'm quite happy writing my silly little stories for the magazines.
You wouldn't want to maybe be a professor of writing?
No. Literature departments are a little too stuffy for the kinds of things I like to write.
Okay.
So, what else we got about informations? Anything that we can relate to the body of the guy yesterday?
I don't know. I have a funny feeling that the death end with the music playing by that particular band with those weird particular instruments. I don't know if y'all remember that trumpet had 4 stoppers instead of 3.
Well, that's to get higher notes, isn't it?
I don't know. I've never seen that before.
Which is why I asked him about the snake charmer, because I thought maybe the assassin was triggered by the trumpet in some way, by that song.
But
Out of character, I want to go to where the trio is playing next and kill somebody in that bar while they're playing that song to see if the same thing happens.
Well, we have to hope no one dies because of this song, in case that's the problem. But I don't know if the drums had to do with that. The guy, as far as we know, came from the door, shoot, and went out. It wasn't by the music. I mean, was it? And I really think about that.
It wasn't the shooter, it was the body in the proximity of music. That's what I'm thinking. There's something of the weird rhythmic music brought that man back to life. That's just my guess.
You know, I read something in the newspaper this morning about artifacts being flown into here from somewhere. Do you reckon that has something to do with it?
It's a place called.
Do the artifacts from Nyarlathotep getting flown into the National Museum over here? Or Nature Museum?
The Museum of Natural History.
The Museum of Natural History. I mean, I just got the breakthrough in my head. How come you guys didn't show this sarcophagus to me? I'm also a master of history. Maybe I'll be able to tell you something about it.
Egyptian history.
I dabble a little bit here and there and everything now.
If we come across any weird Mayan or Aztec artifacts, Mr. Nevada, you'll be the first person I call.
Didn't forget the Incas. And,
yeah, the stinkers.
Please refrain to them by their normal. Elizabeth, I know you're always trouble, but
What did I
try to
say?
be nice for once. Shut up, you're not going to make me say it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Kai, could I have a look at the sarcophagus anyways, if I can recognize if it was like excavated properly or something with my archaeology.
We could, I mean, if you like it. Yeah, of course you can.
She's not gonna. She put it away.
It's going into your room apparently, and trying to get it.
Where you going, Nevada?
Yeah.
Get
So,
out,
let me have a look. Let me have a look at that. Just a little bit. It's been so long since I've seen something so beautiful up close.
I don't know.
Come on, you can trust me. Can I try and like charm her to let me do it?
Sure, let's roll contested charm checks. Mine versus
Here we go.
yours.
Okay. Fuck.
Oh.
Highest is best, right?
Yep. I mean, yeah. Charm versus charm. Elizabeth is very, she touches your hand and rubs your, and scratches your stubbly cheek and says whatever Elizabeth will say. You feel a little bit of, a little shiver down your spine. She is a attractive and elegant woman, after all.
Then I'm gonna respond like, wouldn't you like to show me your room for other reasons then?
No, I would not.
Oh. Nevada kind of walks away with a sad face, not getting to see pretty artifact things or pretty girls.
Nevada, could you roll me an intelligence check?
Yes, I can. Do not be, Ooh.
Nevada, could you fail me an intelligence check? You're rephrasing everything like that.
That's how
good success, bro. That's a success. Look at it, that's a success.
That's what I'm going to phrase it as next time. And then Rudolph, and if Rudolph and if you or Aska, please tell me if there's something you would like to do. I'll of course help you out in that. And can you roll me an anthropology check, Rudolph?
Sure.
Yeah.
No dice.
Yeah.
What was the
Okay.
intelligence for actually, Con?
And actually, you kind of remembered something. It probably should be an intelligence check. I have to look at your character. Actually, I forgot here. Where's your guy?
Personality traits. Or personality trait, pre-generated investigators.
Wait a minute. Oh, yeah. You're not a archaeologist.
I assume, by the way, since you say I took a -2 hit to my sanity, I needed to take away 2 points from the 48, right?
Yes. Yeah. So if you were...
Not from the total, but from...
for the 48. For the left one. Okay, so you just happen to remember something. He, just chattering about this idea concerning music. You see, and it goes like this. In Aztec mythology, Mictlan Tecutli is the lord of Mictlan. He is the god of the dead and the king of Mictlan, the lowest section of the underworld. He is one of the most prominent gods and is often said to be involved in ritual cannibalism, with human flesh being consumed in and around the temple. He is often depicted as in stone discs as a human skull surrounded by the rays of the sun, or more complicated forms in the kind of ancient codexes, or as a skeletal figure. Well, he uh, agreed to give the bones of gods to Quetzalcoatl if Quetzalcoatl could finish what appeared to be a simple test. Quetzalcoatl had to travel through his kingdom of the underworld 4 times, while the shell sounds as of an ocean shell sounded out like a trumpet. Um, except in place of giving Quetzalcoatl the shell, he gave him a normal shell with no holes. In order not to be mocked, Quetzalcoatl beckons the worms to come out and perforate the shell. It is a shell then is created to be played with 4 holes. He then calls the bees to enter the shell and make it sound out like a trumpet. It is the emblem of power and wind and life. Quetzalcoatl is often depicted wearing a cut shell over his chest. The shell represents the same shell that Echatl, the god of wind, wears.
Okay.
And you read once that it is said that the shell of Quetzalcoatl could combat the power of Mictlantecuhtli, for it is the shell that gives him the power over both wind and life.
So I assume that I have to do something with this shell, or that's what I'm thinking about, right?
I don't know.
So I just suddenly remembered
It's
this
one of
piece
those
of
things that just comes to mind.
comes to mind, all right.
Do you share that eureka moment with the group?
Yeah, actually, I relay some of the information that I just got, but trying to make it less complicated. So, I make it like for mind dummies. For dummies.
So the thing had four holes on it, just like the trumpet player had 4 notes he could hit. I'm telling you this.
Yes, actually, that does make sense. Maybe that's what's happening here.
That will explain a lot of things, that's for sure.
But what if you to sound interesting to investigate, we could possibly have a look at where this guy got his trumpet from.
Or why he has this. Who gave him this?
Exactly.
The man certainly looking stable, with his life not in his feet. It can't just be the coincidence he got such instrument in his hands. Something above him.
John, I'm sorry, not John. John, but I should properly say Rudolph Marsh.
Yes.
Could you roll me a anthropology check with advantage?
All right. Do I even need to add the advantage? Sorry, an extreme success.
Oh, you did? Oh man, I'm having trouble getting my. Okay, you have an extreme success. I believe you actually have an issue with Roll20. I might have to refresh my page, but okay, excellent. As this kind of strange, this conversation happens. Then, give me a second. then it just clicks you how strange that in the ancient um, myths, even of the Greeks, there is a connection between this idea of music and death. For there's a you remember something about Orpheus descending into the underworld, and how Orpheus played music to soften the hearts of Hades and Persephone.
I will relate that thought to everyone.
Of course, Hades being the lord of the underworld, Persephone being who Orpheus wished to rescue from the underworld.
Okay, now I'm seeing some emergence to take this trumpet.
Alright, so
It has to do with the music, right?
We gotta find musicians.
That's not gonna be so hard. If you go back to the speakeasy, maybe you can find someone that worked there that knows where to find musicians, their contact at least.
That place is going to be crawling with cops, though. Close
I'm
it
a
down.
cop.
If you go and investigate on your own, probably best if you weren't seen with us.
Yeah. I'm not authorized to use my badge, etc. because I'm suspended. But I can try to communicate with my fellow officers. Just small talk, get up to date.
Does seem like music holds power. Even though it's like only probably 5 p.m. right now, 6:30.
It's not very late at all. Yeah, you met them at 4. It's like no later than 6.
So who's gonna go investigate the club? You gonna do that?
I can do that. I wish you could go to the police station. You could find some files of late, alive, dead people. I mean, people that were considered dead and then come back and try to see if there's any relation.
You gonna do that at your police station, or you gonna do that at this police station over here?
No, I'm saying that I wish I could do that, but I don't think I'm allowed.
Why don't you just bullshit your way into a precinct that nobody knows you? And tell them give them some line of bullshit, like go there to check on files and see blah blah blah. And go in
I
there
can
and
try.
peruse their case files.
I can try to do that, but if I fail, I lose my job for sure. And if I lose my job for sure, even if I came back into the office, maybe then I could easily take things. I think it's better to save this type of high danger technique for later. It would be safer if I went back to the corporation and then I do this kind of things. For now, I just maybe ask for favors.
In the meantime, Nevada is going to go over to the library and do more research on Egyptian history and stuff. And after that, he's going to go back to his apartment and probably go to sleep.
And
just roll my library use. There we go. Jeez, you suck at everything, Toon.
what did you roll? Because I'm gonna have to refresh my screen.
I roll a natural 1.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You, whatever research you were trying to do, um, this time you get lost in a library, and you actually do find yourself lost in stacks of late 19th century and early 20th century women's homemaking magazines.
Guy, he rolled a 1 out of 100.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, I rolled a 1. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, I got a critical success.
I thought it said critical fail. It's because
No,
I'm gonna have to reboot my screen real quick. Oh, sorry, you wrote a 1. Okay, what the fuck were you
Yeah.
looking for?
I was looking into like ancient, like Egyptian religion and stuff, and history to like broaden my mind on that, so I know more about like what these guys are currently researching.
Okay, well, you do know that, amongst other things, Egyptian pharaohs were often buried with musical instruments, including things like horns or special types of sort of horn, simple flutes, and that those, what would happen is that they were played for, during the funeral rites to the funerary rites of the, the person who'd been mummified, part of the funeral procession. And of course, along with all the many different things that were often laid, the ritual objects that were left behind, the Coptic jars full of their organs that should bring them into the afterlife. And multiple ritual objects. There was certainly the sense that music was necessary to announce to the gods of the coming of the soul, that it may be weighed before on the scales of Osiris.
Okay. Nevada's gonna like take this all down in this notebook that he's always got with him.
And there are particular, of course, funerary songs that were played. As a matter of fact, you probably find some sort of funerary, some reconstructions possibly of what the funerary songs would have sounded like as a backwards engineering, considering the types of tune, the types of musical notes that might have been played by these early Egyptian musical instruments.
And as Nevada is leaving the library to go to bed, that is also my cue to head off.
That means you yourself, Toon, is actually going to sleep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless you guys are not playing for much longer, but.
We might. It's up to people. We might play a little longer because I was late to the start. So my apologies.
Okay, it's fine. It's 3:38 or like.
I mean,
3:30 right now.
I'll be willing to play a little bit longer for whoever wants to. Only because it was my fault. I was late. I started the game late for stupid reasons. So.
No problem. I'll see you guys next week.
All right, my man.
Have fun. Don't get yourselves killed, and don't get me killed. More importantly.
Good night.
Goodbye. Good night.
What are we gonna do now is more investigation, so it's gonna be a long thing.
It depends what you're going to do. It depends what you want to do. I'm fine with whatever. At this point, you're basically talking to each other. Actually, no, except for the mighty, our Nevada Jones, who seems to be unable to stand still and keeps on basically taking a crosstown ride to get to his university library. And disappears for hours and comes back for like 20 minutes and goes, "Oh, yes, of course. I must go back to the library." It's essentially what happens with him. I'm sorry, Antonio. and and Rudolph, you're witnessing and listening to all this high-end chicanery. I think probably, and Antonio might be lost
I
a little
was
bit.
just drinking, listening carefully, not understanding, and just saying yes, like if they were speaking a different, like, a foreign language.
So
That
as everybody's talking, I'm gonna drag Antonio into the room I made up for him,
yeah.
and then I'm gonna ask him. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I got something I want to
Don't
tell you
worry.
while they're all talking about books and shit. She's gonna ask you, do you have any like knowledge on building machinery?
Building machinery. Um. I don't know about this. Game Master, I have a question. Um. What skill would be considered for building machines?
Well, it depends. I believe, and I'm going to take a look at your character sheet real quick, Antonio. All right. So, if you think about it, the types of skills that would be beneficial for building things might be specifically engineering. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, yeah.
Right. But then you've got skills like mechanical repair and electrical repair, and depending on what you're trying to build, you can rebuild something. I mean, you know enough about mechanics to rebuild things like an engine. Your mechanical repair is super high, so you could probably put things together. I mean, it depends what it means to build, like engineer from scratch or repurpose things.
Building is repairing with improvisation.
Sometimes, yes. If you're like, could you build me a gasoline-powered car that can travel on snow? Well,
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
maybe that's something you could do.
I'm pretty much describing like a small printing press.
A small printing press? Depends.
Yeah.
Do you want it automatic or do you want it like...
If it could do it itself, that would be fantastic. Or maybe with a hand crank or something.
I don't know, Master. Can I do that?
Well, that would maybe be a hard roll, a multiple hard roll on your mechanical repair.
Ooh.
And it might mean it would take time. Depends how many successes you get.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, am I going to say it's impossible? No. I mean, am I going to say it's easy? No.
Yeah. Okay. So I think it is possible, but it will require time, and it will not be as easy. Yeah, that's the only thing.
How much money do you make down at the mechanic shop?
Oh, let me look at my bank account. 1 moment. Well, like, what? Sorry, guys. Huh? I always have trouble. Oh yeah, credit rating. Credit rating of 20 would be probably, I don't know, $5.
God, where did I put the credit rating thing in the game?
Oh, oh goodness.
I put it in the chat somewhere. Where did I put it? Not in the chat in the game, in the Discord channel.
No, I know. Is it a 1920s, 30s resources? No, it's not there. I forget where you put that, dude. It was super useful, and I thought I copied it over, but maybe I fucked up and didn't.
It's in Call of Cthulhu resources.
70 resources, yeah. Wealth and Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah.
Okay, I found it.
Thanks, Mike.
No, I found the channel. One more. Let me. Wait, where's the... It's in the Call of Cthulhu 70 resources.
Yes, it's probably more near the bottom. You'll see it.
You mean to the top? The first message I see is the rules, basically, and the character.
No, it's almost all the way to the bottom. It's like the last thing in that list.
The last thing that I have is...
Yeah, it's Wealth in Call of Cthulhu. It's like Call of Cthulhu 70 resources. It's right there. It says Wealth in Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah. The last thing that I have is the Colt gun, the revolver.
Yeah, it's right before that.
That thing? Oh, the Wealth in Call of Cthulhu. I'm stupid.
Oh, what are we looking at? Oh, because I put it somewhere else.
He's got it.
Okay.
Yep, sorry.
At 1 to 9, you're poor. You have the bare minimum needs. At 10 to 49, you're living an average life with average accommodations. 50 to 89 means you're wealthy. Expect first-class living. At 90 and above, you are living luxury as one of the rich.
Yeah,
You
we can...
somehow manage a credit rating of 99, money ceases to matter to you.
Man.
That's what I'm aiming for.
You and me both.
Yeah.
So,
I have a 20.
So, how much money, like weekly money, is that equate to, Kai? Like $2 a week he makes?
It says that my spending level is $2.
$2, yeah.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. Like you might make $2.50 and save a little bit, but it's not much. You're barely just making it, and $2 won't get you much.
Oh, okay. So,
Right.
I offer you $10 a week.
Okay. Yes. I'm in.
Start building that machine.
Yes. Yes. Okay. I'll improvise myself as engineer. Wow. I'll do that. Suddenly I have a knowledge of physics that allows me to design advanced machinery.
You start trying to build one. I'm not going to say you're successful. I'm just saying you attempt.
I know.
You attempt.
Wait, does the $10 count to the material?
No. That's your weekly amount. You tell me how much you need for your materials, and I'll get you that.
Okay.
Just give me uno segundo. I'll be right back. Literally.
Sounds good.
You can go with Nathan Jones to the library. Read up on physics.
You're going to Dr. Jones's library?
You think he's got any physics books?
I don't know, probably. Should be a small university library.
Cummins and Antonio, you guys still in the other room?
Yeah. I brought him to his bedroom and started bullshitting with him.
Okay.
Yep.
While they're talking about books and shit like that. Because Elizabeth's smart, but she doesn't really care about that. I mean, she's good in history and good in library use, but that shit was forced on her, you know?
He's waiting for Netflix to be invented.
Yeah.
What the hell? I was going to try and find something else there, but I cannot. And so while you guys are sort of doing a little bit of this and kind of chatting along, I'm going to say that someone roll me a listen check.
Oh, listen.
I'm terrible at that. Alright, I get to click that.
Damn it. Yesterday, huh?
She's
Does anyone
always
pass
looking
her-
awesome.
Does
Yeah.
anyone pass or listen check?
I did.
Elizabeth did.
Yeah.
Man, this is so
Killing it.
weird. I'm gonna have to like after this quick scene, I'm gonna have to like reboot my my tab because I can't have access to the goddamn chat screen. Okay, Elizabeth, you hear the obvious sounds of someone picking your door lock.
I get up. I wake Antonio up. I say, go into the kitchen, get the knife. And I pull out the revolver.
Mm-hmm.
When I see comes to take it over, I take one of Boofy's I take one of Boofy's revolvers too.
And
I
tell
get
everybody to
the
be
other one
quiet.
out.
I go, shh, to everyone.
Okay.
I'm trying to pick my lock.
Yeah, and you hear it. You'll click, click, click. You hear the tumblers go. You're good at this, and you hear the turning of your door knob, and the door swing open. None of you are in the kitchen, right? You guys in the living room. You're hanging around, right? Is that where you guys are, or like where is everyone?
I think that me and Buffy are
In the
already
armchair.
yet. We were
Yeah.
eating, drinking.
Yeah,
And
that's
I-
probably in the living room.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
the
and I
door
know-
is probably in the kitchen. So yeah.
I know Clemens doesn't like everybody walking around in her house, so I just stay in the kitchen.
Okay, so the
You-
door creaks open.
Cummings
see it.
flat has
Oh.
a weird layout, doesn't it?
It's a
Yeah.
railroad apartment, so
Yeah.
every room is connected.
Okay.
And linearly, you have to walk through one room to get to the next. At least the back of the house. And so the door swings open, and you guys see a tall, blonde-haired man, hair slicked back, cut short, clean-shaven, dark suit, walks in. You can see the glint of a badge and the revolver in his hand as he walks into the room and turns towards you.
I shoot him in the knee.
It's just you one good American day, motherfucker. Bah!
I shoot him in the knee.
Okay. That's what's going to happen. Go ahead. Wait, I'm gonna have to refresh real quick because I can't see anything. So just do your shot and we'll see what happens.
I got an extreme success.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
My damage didn't roll though. I don't know why I'm gonna roll it. 10. I crit on the damage.
Wow.
I blow this guy's fucking leg off. It's like Kill Bill.
Out there, three fuckers with guns.
Welcome to America, man.
Oh, what the fuck? Good American day for you too, sir. Bah!
Okay. Yeah, look at that, man. You got an extreme success. Fantastic.
Oh, there's extreme damage, Kai. I didn't roll that though.
Yeah. Why is that not rolling?
I don't know. My damage
shit.
is still there.
So
Let's roll
got
for
mercy,
extreme
man.
damage.
none of this is good, of course. But oh well. I mean, I guess there's going to be consequences for things, of course. And I'm gonna try and buy the compendium this month. By the way, guys, or figure something out a way to buy it so that we have it. It really would be easier to have access to the rules. The fuck. Anyway. Other forms of damage. No other forms of damage. No, that's not what I want. I don't have all the combat info here. Hit wounds. God damn, okay, I gotta call it Cthulhu extreme damage. I think what it means is when you get an extreme roll like that, not only do you get the full, you don't even roll the hit dice, like it's like a crit. You get the full hit dice damage of the weapon, and then you roll the weapon's damage. I think so.
Okay, so I basically blew this guy's leg off.
Yeah, and a gun, of course, resounds throughout the entirety of the building, because that's definitely not good, right? And so, yeah, he did not get the drop on you. Yeah, so extreme damage, penetrating weapons, max weapon damage plus max damage bonus plus extra weapon damage roll. Well, that doesn't make sense because you're not stabbing. So I'm going to say that that's just a whole fucking lot of damage going on. The guy falls down to the floor as you basically, shot through his thigh and exploded his femoral artery, and he starts bleeding all over the place on your kitchen linoleum. At which point, the neighbors' doors, you can hear them opening and screaming. Because, of course, a gunshot is quite loud. And you shot him with... What the hell did you use to shoot him, by the way?
I used the gun from...
oh, God. That's a big gun.
Yeah.
That's a really fucking loud weapon.
What is the name? The light is speaking?
The lightless, sing loose, the lightless beacon.
Like
yeah, all I'm gonna say is,
the
yeah.
one we played with the frog people.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
the gun from there is one of the guns I picked up.
Well, bro, the guy is that you fucking blow is like, huge bullet hole. He's bleeding. He's just gonna have to.
So he's bleeding. He's still alive. I mean,
no. I mean, he's like 0 hit points. No. I mean, he's like, he's barely making it. He's not looking too good. He's dying.
Tie a tourniquet around his leg.
The good thing you get to use your phone.
Yeah, so like people come around and they come around your door like, what's happened? Oh goodness! Call the police!
Yes, call the police. This man tried to break into my apartment.
And an ambulance.
Roll a first aid.
All right. Yeah. So you see a man. John, what are you doing, by the way?
Just been kind of shocked by everything that's going on at the moment.
Of course, as always, poor March. It's just endless shock after endless shock after endless shock.
And yet, I'm the only one who hasn't had any madness.
Yeah, how is it that you?
Why do I have madness?
He isn't. He's just mentally. He's rock solid, mentally tough. He is just nonplussed by anything. He just looks at it and goes, "Yeah, yeah."
This again.
Remarkably resilient, but yet always caught in the middle of. It seems you know what? It's like things just keep on getting crazier and crazier and crazier. Ever since you decided to come talk to Miss Elizabeth Cummings. God's sakes, this woman! And the blood's all over the linoleum, and the neighbors are at the door, like, oh my God, the police! That busybody neighbor of yours that came the other day, Elizabeth, she starts hyperventilating and she faints, and there's a fucking ruckus.
Okay, so is she on the floor passed out, guy?
Yeah, she's on the floor passed out.
I go and I pour, I grab a bottle of whiskey and I pour whiskey all over her face.
What a terrible waste of good whiskey.
Oh God! Oh my God!
I say, why, Miss Drummond? You're drunk again. You go to your apartment. I dropped some pots and pans in my apartment.
you need to run me a fast talk. Oh my god. The neighbors stare at her and she looks at everyone. She's like, she freaks out and she runs and Charles and wailing for her husband, and in confusion strips and slams along the wall and she's like, oh, what's happened? Oh my goodness!
You've been drinking again. You smell whiskey. You're soaked. Look at you. Go inside, clean yourself up. Stop bothering everybody. Everybody else, go to bed. Go to bed. She's been hitting the whiskey again.
The neighbors are all agape at you, and I mean, you couldn't hide the man. I mean, did you hide? Were you eight guys able to hide the guy before your neighbors?
All you gotta do is close the door, right?
Yeah. I mean, so I gotta roll. I mean, there's got to be something to make sure to kind of see if you guys were able to do that, because there's a lot of fucking confusion. People start screaming, and the doors start opening, and who's closest to the door, and what's going on? Who's gonna do what? Quickly, tell me. In a couple of seconds, you have like a mere 3 seconds. The shooting, and then you hear people screaming. You hear the door slam open. How does this work?
Oh.
Tell me.
I try to close the door if I can, but I fail.
How do you fail? How do you fail closing a door? You guys are utterly so.
It's not anymore.
You get the policeman's body in the door.
No, yeah. It's like you run into each other, you stumble over each other, you try and pull the door closed. But yeah, that's a great one. The guy's leg is still halfway sticking out of the door.
What's left of it?
Can I kick it behind me and close the door as I'm walking back? Like, nah. Oh, my cousin came to town. We're cooking some gumbo.
You're gonna have to do a fast talk again, or a persuade, or a charm, or whichever one you think is gonna try and get people out of this. Go ahead, and anybody else can help. Anybody else gonna do anything? Anybody else gonna help? Who's gonna try and bullshit their way through this? Come on, let's. Who's
How would I say this scene exactly?
Who's got the
I'd
cojones?
say.
Rudolph.
There's nothing to see here.
Rudolph goes to the bathroom and just locks the door. Done. This is done.
Just roll the crit one.
Oh my God, Boothby, that is unbelievable. And
I use my incredible natural authority.
This is like remarkable. The 98 versus the 1. That's like, oh, like, wow. Okay. You sort of like, I'm going to argue this is all happening in the door. The alcohol gets thrown almost through the door, the half-open door. That's open because of. You tell me if you guys like this idea or not. Elizabeth comes up and she's trying to close the door, but the neighbors. The first woman to come is that nosy neighbor of yours that we've that we talked about, that you just interacted with, and she faints first, right? And then she startles the other neighbors, and then you immediately go out and get the alcohol. The guy's foot is still in the door, half open, and everyone's kind of confused about what's going on, and they're asking, "Who's that? What was that sound?" Then Boothby's, you try and say,
I could rip
you try
the
and say, "Oh, it's my
badge
cousin."
off him. I'd take his badge off him and say, "Look, there's nothing to see here. Back to your apartments."
Oh, that's a good one, Boothby. You take the badge and they play the authority role. That's excellent. Yes, and people see the badge and they stop and they're like, "But what was that noise?" "Oh, yeah, yes, officer. Of course." And while that happens, Boothby's
Bruce call the police. The police are already here.
And Bruce is finally pulling the body with the foot out of the door as he's dragging the body.
Yeah, Joe wants to drag the body.
Who?
I think John went to the bathroom.
Yeah, John.
Yeah.
John hit the
Yeah,
bathroom.
I bailed. I'm just like I don't have the emotional support.
I gave up.
So
That's
I guess
totally fine.
Antonio's moving the body.
So it's Antonio and I mean it's actually kind of a crazy dramatic scene, but it's funny still at the same time. So both Bruce and Antonio are dragging the body on the blood slick linoleum. And so the foot just gets outside the door, and just as everything, the only thing that people can see is like through the slight open door or not, and of course Boothby's in the way, and Boothby's massive. For once, his massive rotundness is very helpful because he's obscuring exactly what's happening. People just see the foot, being pulled away from the door in between his legs as they hear Elizabeth, saying, "Oh, don't worry about it. The cops are already here. Well, it's just a little thing," or however you want to say it. And then the door slammed. Right? Does that sound like a good scene?
Yep.
Yeah. And then I go and get another scotch.
I look over at Antonio and I say, "Welcome to your first day at Cummins Incorporated."
Finding that I pull away the corpse.
Well, he's not cold yet.
I take the phone and I call the police in an ambulance.
No, you're not.
He's still get him. He starts calling it. He's like,
No,
hello,
you put
911.
You put that phone right fucking down right now.
What's your plan? This fucking Blade's gonna die here.
So what if he fucking dies here? He broke into my apartment. He's obviously not an actual police officer. Police officers knock, don't you?
Slap the phone out of his hand.
Look, we cannot decide who lives and die, okay? He deserves to live and have judgment now. I'm going to call. Could I?
You're not going to call from here. We're going to bring him to the hospital. Somebody's going to bring him to the hospital.
Okay, let's
But
take the
they're
call.
not coming to get him
I did the
here.
last one. It's your turn.
So you want to drag someone that's bleeding as hell like him to a car outside, leave a tray of blood in the whole building, and then we can take him to the hospital.
I got sheets.
That's kind of why.
Because if he dies, he's not dying in my fucking apartment. And I don't want there being a trail to my apartment.
Okay, we take the shits. Can I call someone to wait us in front of the building?
Wait. I'm taking this guy's wallet. What's his fucking name?
Oh, that's fantastic.
Must be on the badge, no?
That's a very good call. As a matter of fact, let me get some information here in the card because I had to refresh my screen and I lost a little bit of information here. I gotta get
That's bad. He's Detective Grimmins.
Oh yes. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna roll this, and yes. You take his badge and you get his information, and this man is named Roger Daniels. He's a treasury agent. As a matter of fact, he's the same guy who is, if you recall, it was interviewed in the who talks to Roman intelligence check. Quickly, Roman intelligence check. Anybody? Who's the smartest?
Oh, wait, I have 60? That's more?
Excellent! Boothby, you remember, and both Bruce and Boothby talked together like almost at the same time. The government agent! From the article this morning.
See, I did read it.
Can it please call an ambulance for God's sake? Why every time that
What was the government agent doing again?
he probably coming after me?
Blood.
He's probably coming after me and
Pooling on the linoleum. Boothby tried to apply first aid. It wasn't very good. Blood pooling on the linoleum. More. It's spreading. It's slick.
Cummings, please let me save this
Try
man.
again.
Time is passing.
Oh, that's
You
not
could-
going well.
Let's get the sheets on them and get them out of this room right now.
Let's get the sheets out of here.
Okay.
Let's get the sheets on them and get them the hell out of here. I go to the bedroom and I start grabbing all the sheets, Kai.
I go help her.
Okay.
How are you going to explain that?
Oh God, you guys! It's always interesting what happens. Rudolph, what are you doing as you hear them arguing about whether they should call the police or not, and hearing them say, "Oh my God, he's a treasury agent."
Is there a fire escape?
Unfortunately, from the bathroom, no. You're a big man, and the small window in the bathroom is simply not much too small for you to escape through.
Dude, that's that is super unbelievable. This scene, amazing.
I'm gonna make a stealth. Can I make a stealth check to see if I can leave without them noticing me?
Where is the car parked?
Does anyone know to drive?
I can drive.
The car is parked somewhere in the street. I don't really think they have garages at this point in time in these buildings. You would have to park somewhere on the street. Although, of course, this is where you are right now in 1920s New York City is probably not too hard to find parking in the street. I mean, are you going to roll a stealth check, Marsh, to try and sneak out? I mean, I think you have a disadvantage here. It's really difficult for you to do this.
Where are you going?
Oh,
It's not. You don't do a very good job at all, Rudolph.
I did not sign up for this.
Yeah, let the man go. We're here to do Cummings, not one to call the ambulance for save a man's life.
Is anyone going to stop me from leaving?
No, just go.
I go.
If in the way you can get the car and put in the front of the building, it's gonna be a great help. Thank you.
Yeah, pull it around. Here are the keys.
Give me the keys. And I go and pull the car out of the front.
And I say that when I put the sheet over the agent legs.
Do we have the trunk that had all the stuff in, or do we leave that at the?
You want to put it in the trunk?
I don't know where the fuck you have that. I don't know.
No, I think that was just luggage strapped to the car.
Yeah.
I think I.
No, you guys had. You left it. You brought the trunk to the lawyer's office. That was part of the evidence that was required. I don't know.
Yeah.
Trunk. You could do anything you wanted with the trunk. It was more like the trunk existed as a proof of.
I think I've got it in my flat.
Mission accomplished. Probably, it's possible. So it's far away from where you guys are.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Guys, I'm gonna have to go.
It's fine. I know it's getting late. So congratulations, guys. You just killed a federal agent.
No,
Killed.
no. So you can take him to the
Death pregnancy has 0 consequences. No consequences at all.
It was a fantastic shot. What can I say? Oh well, he's dead. What are we gonna do with his body? Y'all want to bring him to the hospital still?
Yes, please.
You can do that.
Yeah, I will. But I'm taking the car.
Okay, you take the car.
Elizabeth, do you have a waste disposal unit?
I believe that there's a garbage area in my sub-basement of my apartment building.
Oh, you gonna do that with me?
Oh, you wanna burn them?
No, it's a bit close to home, isn't it?
Yeah, no, we're not gonna dispose of that corpse, nah.
Especially when Bruce is willing to get rid of it.
Yeah, Bruce will try to do right by the officer. Boothby, hey Boothby.
You're not expecting me to clean the linoleum, are you?
Did I leave
No.
the room or I hear him this talk?
Where's Antonio?
Okay. Whoever handled the body, right?
Me.
You've been kneeling down and trying to. I mean, this guy's femoral artery was like blown open. Just a lot of fucking blood on the floor. You're gonna get blood on your shoes. You're gonna get blood on your fucking pants because you're kneeling down. I mean, there's definitely blood on the shoes, and you're leaving bloody footprints all along the kitchen linoleum as you're trying to pull this guy along. You pull
Okay.
up, just to let you know.
So before everybody leaves, I put out another couple sheets and have them wipe their feet, so they don't track blood throughout the apartment.
Hey, you're an expert. Done this recently?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to use my head, is all.
Is
I'm not in my
Bru-
apartment.
is Bruce carrying the body down to the car by himself?
It's not a body yet. And yet.
And John's waiting out. I mean, I'm sorry. Oh God, I keep sorry, John. Rudolph Marsh. I don't know why I keep on to have a brain fart with that. Rudolph Marsh is waiting out front with the car. As you come and try and take this body and drag it down 6 flights of stairs as it's wrapped in a white blanket and bleeding all over the place.
You're gonna have to do it.
Please, both of you roll me a strength check, whoever is carrying this body down the stairs.
Okay.
6 flights of stairs. A heavy, tall man. Boothby? Are you also? Or is this Antonio? Who's doing the dirty work here?
So,
Yes,
I'm
strength,
still in
I
the
need to
flat.
roll right?
Hmm?
Strength.
Strength check, Antonio.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, Antonio is able to keep the head, but Bruce loses the feet, and so the feet fall on the floor. The bloody blanket leaves a streak on the 4th floor stairs.
I pick up the feet.
And
Is there an elevator in this building?
nope, it is a classic old New York, multi-floor walk-up. Elevators didn't become all that popular in apartment buildings to a bit later on, if I'm correct about this. But, this one, regardless, is it's a walk-up, so it's maybe eight floors. So no, it's not. Well, you guys end up smearing blood on the 4th floor and on the 2nd floor. And his head slams down on the stairs a couple times as Bruce, his hands slick with blood from the sheet that's from his femoral artery, just slips a couple times, and
So I hear the noise as they're dragging the guy down the hall.
oh yes, of course, you hear it.
All right, so I'm
No, roll a listen check. Roll a listen check. Wait, roll a listen check. Yeah, you hear him huffing and puffing. You don't know what's going on. You're trying to clean the blood. This massive pool of blood up on the floor, and the door's closed. You don't hear it. Sorry, Elizabeth.
Okay.
Eventually, you guys get the body out. I guess it's 7 o'clock. It's still summertime in New York, so it's not dark yet. The streets are full of people, right, walking back and forth. It's not that crowded. It's not Times Square, but there's a couple people across the street and some children playing around in front of the building, and they sort of stop and gawk at you as you take this red-colored, white-sheeted bundle into the back of the car and I guess take it over from Rudolph Marsh, and Rudolph Marsh does whatever he would like to do at this point.
Go home.
Hide my face and go home.
It's never a dull day when you're in Elizabeth Cummings' company.
Oh, that's for sure.
It's true. Well, guys, I also gotta get going.
Yeah, I got you.
It's time to bow out for the night. So you guys have fun, keep playing. Talk to y'all next week.
Okay, good night, man.
Thank you. See you next week.
Sorry for the late start, everyone. Thank you for staying a little late.
Yeah.
My bad.
See you guys.
Later.
All right, Mikey.
Bye.
Okay.
Okay, see ya.
Later, guys. Thank you for being patient.
Yeah.
Rock and roll.
Okay. All right, bye.
Later, brother.